Hello, hello. I'm Dax Shepard, and this is the Armchair Expert. Today we have a very exciting guest. He's someone I've kind of admired, looked up to from afar. I ended up kind of stalking him on Twitter, and then we became chummy, and he came by the attic, and it was by far one of the most stimulating guests we've had. Would you agree, Monica?
The most, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's quite an episode.
Talib is incredibly smart. He's certainly bested me on many a point. And I just want to say going into this episode, I try to stay out of politics, not because I'm not political or don't have opinions, but I just feel like there's tons of outlets. There's a million places you could go to hear political opinions. And this is just kind of I try to keep it a sanctuary away from that. With that said, it would be absolutely shameful to have Talib on, who is a social activist, and not get into some of these causes that he cares deeply about. And I do want to say, I had a fear because I ended up, as you'll hear, I end up taking someone's position on an argument that's actually not my position per se. And I was quite nervous that I maybe said stuff that I was going to regret. And then Monica and I really hemmed and hawed over it. And what we ultimately did is left it all in. And so what I'm not good at doing, and what Monica's always pointing out to me I need to do, is I think it goes without saying that I believe certain things. And in fact, it doesn't go without saying. So as we enter into the portion of the podcast, when we get into Charles Murray, who was a guest on Sam Harris talking about his controversial book, The Bell Curve, I kind of ended up taking a position of, I don't even want to say defending, whatever, you'll hear it. The point is after debating Talib in this episode, and it gave me pause, and I thought, am I on the wrong side of this? I need to investigate further. And then, as luck would have it, the episode that's under fire, there was a follow-up episode on Sam Harris where he had Ezra Klein on. And then when I heard Ezra Klein's point of view, I have to say I have reversed my position on it. So I just want to acknowledge that my opinion has been changed by both Talib and Ezra. And I think as I was educated more on who Charles Murray is, I don't think I could make the statement he's not a racist the way I did in the episode you're about to hear. All that to say, just gigantic high five to Qual for coming in and really educating us.
And it's important to note that these are all opinions based on personal truths and facts. And so if you don't believe what he is saying as truth to yourself, that's fine.
Yep. I still love Sam. So, you'll hear Talib does not love Sam, and that's fine. And then the last listener warning I just want to give is we get into this debate about Charles Murray, and I go a long way before I say something that I thought would maybe be obvious, but I should have said it right at the beginning, and I just want to say it right at the beginning of this, that I do not think there is a single variation among racial groups on intelligence. I don't think any group is more or less intelligent than another. You'll hear me say that, but it took me a while before I threw that in there. So I don't want you to be listening thinking, oh boy, what is he suggesting? Because I was not suggesting that. Ultimately, the reason that all this stuff was left in, because I think the much bigger message that we wanted to send wasn't the particulars of these debates, but the bigger, more important message in my mind is, listen to two guys who are on opposite sides of the road, talk with respect and love to one another, and have a differing opinion, and get up and hug each other. And I just want that to be an example of, it's just plenty fine for all of us to disagree, and we can still love each other and not feel like, us and them. So, big setup. I hope you enjoy Talib Kweli.
We get support from Quince.
Have you been wearing the Quince linen shirts?
Yeah, I've been wearing them a suspicious amount. Yeah, European linen ones, they're $34, which is genuinely insane for how nice they are.
It doesn't even make sense.
Well, here's the deal. They work directly with the factories, cut out all the middlemen, so you're paying for the actual quality and not some brand's marketing budget. Everything's 50 to 80% less than comparable stuff. I love it because it's all very classic and traditional, and I know I'm going to be able to keep it for a very long time, and the quality's off the charts.
That's true. The style is very consistent. Whatever you get there, you walk down the street, you're going to look good. They have these lightweight cotton sweaters, which I love for when it cools down at night. It's nice drape around your shoulders in the summer and then throw it on when it gets a little cool. And it's not just clothes. They do home stuff, ding, 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 travel stuff, everyday essentials. It's all the same model, quality without the markup.
Make your summer wardrobe easier. Go to quince.com/Dax for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Dax for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Dax. We are supported by Auto Trader. All right, if you've been putting off car shopping because it sounds like a whole thing, buying your car online on Auto Trader makes it way easier, really. You can shop tons of cars online, compare prices, check financing and trade-in options, all from wherever you are. And if you want to start online and go to the dealership for a test drive, you can do that too, really. What I like is the flexibility. Start online, finish at the dealer, or the other way around. Your info stays with you, so you're not starting the process from scratch. Plus, you're working with local dealer listings, so you've got real people helping behind the scenes. And when you're ready, you can pick up your car or have it delivered. Really. Buy your car online on Auto Trader. Really.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Talib Kweli. Talib, welcome to Armchair Expert.
Thank you. That's a great name. I see you in the armchair. You look like an expert.
Yeah.
It's like a podcast about armchairs.
Specifically, I'm a know-it-all, and I make a lot of huge generalizations, but I don't go do any research. I don't gather data. I'm an armchair expert.
That sounds like the internet.
Yeah. I think this generation would really respond to what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and I just hit the jackpot because you happen to be in town. You don't live here. You live in New York.
I do.
Yeah. So I went and saw you Saturday. No, it felt like a Saturday night for me because I have kids.
Yeah.
I saw you on Wednesday night.
It was like adult Saturday night.
I'm still fucked up from that because I go to bed at 10 o'clock every night.
Oh, man.
And I was at your show and I was like, I was loving it. And then I was also glancing at my watch like, ooh,
yes,
midnight.
I'm at the age where when I go on after 10, my Twitter feed is filled with people saying, hey, where are you at? I got to pay the babysitter. It's like,
yeah. You two are all year round, right?
Yeah, I tour a lot.
Like how many days a year?
200, 250 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a year. I'm trying to slow that down, but that's definitely my bread and butter. That's what I do.
Right.
I'm a bluesman. I'm a live traveling musician.
Right. Your career's had so many different peaks and valleys and all this up and down. And there were probably times you loved touring. There's probably times you hated touring. Mm-hmm. Is there an acceptance phase where you just go like, oh, whatever, this is what I'm doing?
Yeah, that acceptance phase came a long time ago. I've had to embrace it. Touring, it can be very stressful and hectic. It destroys relationships in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So, you have to I have grown children who've grown up while I've toured.
Right.
And so it's like, I've had to be honest about what it is.
Yeah. And how often would they come?
My kids tour to me often.
Yeah.
My son, you just missed my son. My son is now at the age where it's like, he'll call me and like, I'm in Oakland. I'm like, he's like, can I come to the show? I'm like, how did you get to Oakland?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when I was 21 years old, I was taking buses and across the country and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's what he's doing now.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Is it cool to watch?
It is. My kids they actually live in the apartment next door to me.
Well, they do.
In New York.
Oh, good.
That's been about the last year or so.
Uh-huh.
I mean, so I've been able to get closer to them and really get to know them as people. Because as a teenager, you're still trying to figure out which kind of person you are.
Oh, yeah.
So now my daughter's 19, my son's 21. Now they are who they are.
Right.
So now I'm getting to know who that person is.
Yeah. And does the stress at all dissipate? Because when you're a parent, you're like, you put a lot of thought into, man, I hope this is what we got them on the right,
I'm a little stressed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like you have less control now, obviously.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's like, it's stressful to watch your children do exactly what you did your parents told you not to do.
Yes.
So my parents told me not to drop out of college.
Yeah.
Both my kids did this.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay.
My son has a song where he talks about smoking weed. When he's 21, I started smoking weed at 15.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, what am I supposed to say?
Also, there's a historical record of you.
Yeah.
You've lived out loud.
That's right.
You can only lie so much.
That's right. And I can't, and you know what the crazy thing is that I I just cannot. I gotta let them be who they are. My rule is, I can't smoke weed with my son until he's paying his own rent.
Okay,
That's the rule.
okay. I
You know
like
what
it. So you just said your parents were concerned about you dropping out, and that's I would assume impacted a lot by the fact that your mother was a professor, right? Or is
And
or
my
was,
father.
and your father as well,
And now my brother, my younger
Right.
brother.
Your brother in like all-star fashion, right? He's a Columbia
Yeah,
constitutional law. Did
Yeah.
you say younger?
He's younger.
And is he just?
I had to learn how to. I went to his 40th birthday party, and I made a speech about how I stopped calling him my little brother.
Yeah.
And he nodded in agreement, like yes.
yeah. And by the way, that happened a while ago before you admitted it.
Yeah.
So he's just crack smart.
He's like I'm like the beta of him.
Uh-huh.
I'm like the beta version. I was the test.
Yeah.
They got it right with him. I'm 2 years older than him.
Oh, you're 2 years
Yeah.
older. Okay, so now he's what, 43? Oh no, he's 41.
He's 40. I guess I'm 43. I don't know.
You are 43.
You know, I'm
and I
like
was
Don
still-
Draper. You know, I don't pay attention to birthdays.
Okay, yeah. But we're the same age.
Okay, that's how you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have this weird mental thing. If I've revered somebody,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, just in my mind, they're older. So like when
That's
I was
interesting.
when I was reading your age, I was like, oh, that's weird. We were kids at the exact same time, you know, discovering stuff probably at very, you know, same time in space.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because I definitely call my brother and ask him for advice like he's my older brother.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when did that start?
In high school,
Oh, in high school.
my brother was in Hunter College High School when I was dropping out, which was like the best high school you could go to. He would come downstairs to see me and my friends like smoke a weed in the basement. And he would just shake his head. Like,
And he's just a crazy overachiever.
yeah, he
Went to Yale.
He went to Harvard first.
Oh, Jesus.
Then he became a sports writer because I gave him my baseball cards. He like smashed that subject. He wrote for Sports Illustrated for a couple of years.
Really?
And then he decided that he was never going to be the best sports writer. So he went to Yale for law school,
Okay.
studied constitutional law, got out, started working for Justice Stevens. And when Justice Stevens retired, he was interviewed
On the Supreme Court,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And
Wow.
I would see my brother on C-SPAN interviewing like, you know, grilling congressmen and stuff. And now he works
Yeah.
at Columbia.
That is wild.
Yeah.
And your parents, they need to write a fucking book
Yeah,
because
they
you're a you know, all-star fucking hip hop MC, and then the other son's a professor at Columbia.
Yeah,
They did some shit right.
They did good.
What did they do? What was the secret sauce?
I think education. I think their focus, like almost laser precision, like focus on education. We went to museums and libraries every weekend. We read in the house. There was books in the house.
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't have books in your living room, I can't trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw an episode of Cribs. You remember that show on MTV?
Yes, I do.
And I want to say it was either Moby. I think it was Moby, but basically the full tour of Cribs was just his bookshelf. He's like,
Yeah.
I've seen so many episodes of this show. I've never seen anyone with a bookshelf in their house. This
Yeah.
is very troubling to me.
Books are going to be like, you know, art.
Steam powered cars.
Yeah, or it's going to be like art that you hang up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, and in fact, I've seen there's an artist. I don't know if he's here in LA, but I know some people that have his art, and he does that. He makes these crazy kind of statue things out of books, old books.
Yeah.
and it has a gravitas to it. These books, it just there's something about it that has a weight.
yeah, when you see like dystopian movies about the future, there's never any books. Books are like commodities, like a Book of Eli type of thing. Like
Yeah.
people are going to have to just like know stuff in their head.
Right.
You know?
It's going to go back. We're
Yeah.
going to cycle back. So when
Yeah.
everything we learned was just told to each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's how we pass on all these things.
Yeah, like the griots.
So now, when both parents are professors, I imagine it'd be easy to rebel as well by going like, yeah, I'm not going to be an academic. Is that tempting?
Yeah, I mean, our generation was the first sort of generation to become adults and realize that what our parents did, what our parents thought about education in school and college in particular, might not be accurate.
Uh-huh.
The idea that, you know, my parents, especially being like black parents, all you had to do was go to college. Like that was the myth in the 50s and the 60s, man.
Yes.
If you could just go to college,
Yep.
you were guaranteed a good life. You were guaranteed a good job. You guaranteed a 401k.
Yeah.
And that sort of, you know, that bubble burst when we became adults.
Yeah.
So we had the unfortunate job of telling our parents, look, your ideals may not be accurate for this generation.
Yeah.
And I might have to be an entrepreneur. I might have to do something different
Yeah.
than just work for somebody for my whole life to just end up in debt. I'm already in debt because I went to college. Yeah.
And then I think that it's only gotten truer post our generation. You know, Zuckerberg and all these people, they've dropped out, or other huge entrepreneurs have left.
And
one of these guys is even touring, suggesting people drop out of college. I forget which one. Like,
as much as I appreciate it because it's my life story,
yeah,
it's dangerous. And me having children who are now becoming adults, that's a scary thought. Like my conversation with my son in Oakland, like I'm glad they're in Oakland. I let him rap on the stage, but you need to fly back home and get a fucking job.
Yes.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And it was like it was a difficult thing for me to be in that position to tell my son, you have to go work for somebody.
Well, compounded heavily by the fact that their father didn't do that. Like I was reading a book about it was in a Malcolm Gladwell book, and it kind of talked about to what degree money does make your life better or easier, right? And then what they found is that it caps out at around at least the time of this book, 175 grand. Anything past that, it's going to plateau for a while, and then it's going to start going down, actually, like how, what the children are going to turn out like. And one of the theories is it's really easy for parents to say, no, I can't buy you that bike because I can't afford that bike. That's easy to say. To say, I could buy you that bike, but I'm not going to buy you that bike because it'd be bad for your character, is almost impossible for parents to say.
Yeah, there's definitely levels. I've heard stories about James Brown where they say that James Brown didn't have a relationship with any of his children because his childhood was so hard growing up. He didn't want people to be able to lean on his name for their success. He really was focused on almost to a fault.
Well, that's the song "Boy Named Sue." You know that song, Johnny Cash song. It's really a Shel Silverstein poem.
Okay.
But his dad leaves him and his mom when he's young, and what he does before he leaves, he names his son Sue because he knows that'll make him tough. Since he's not going to be around to make him tough, this name Sue will get him there.
Oh, that's a good, good songwriting concept.
Now, in Brooklyn, where you grew up, and I would just be fully speculating, but even when I tell my story now out in public.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a suburb of Detroit, and it was probably the last town where half the town still drove to Detroit and worked there. And then just to the west of us became farmland. Okay. So it was a weird mix of straight up kids got on my school bus with shit all over their boots because they had shoveled out the barn that morning. And then there were kids whose parents were engineers at General Motors and Ford, Right. So it was this weird mix. But when I'm telling my life story, I'm focusing on the part that we lived in a welfare apartment when my mom first left my dad. I guess it's this, I can't avoid this a bootstrap story. Like it's a better story, right? I skipped the part where my mom built this great company and we lived in a pretty damn nice house by the time I was a senior. And I also was really drawn to, for lack of a better word, the bad kids. Like I wanted to be in the neighborhood where there was no curfew. I was drawn to that. And so I wanted to be that in a weird way where I ended up downplaying that we did live in a nice house. There's these weird kind of social barriers where to me that you kind of hide certain stuff. So I'm curious, having super educated parents in Brooklyn, hanging around in Brooklyn, was that something you tried to downplay or did you embrace it?
That is an excellent question. There's a lot of layers to that question. And you're also being honest about your upbringing in asking the question. A recent thing happened to me on social media is, you've seen me on social media.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, but this stems a little bit from some of the arguments I've seen you have. And I've seen people attack you. And one of the attacks is like, what the fuck do you know? Because your parents were professors.
And right. So there's a lot of layers to it. One, first is that a lot of racist people in this country associate education with rich and white.
Yes.
So if you're an educated black person and you carry yourself as if you've received a high level of education, somehow in these people's eyes, you're less black, and you have less
in the black community's eyes.
I'm in every community.
I guess white people too.
Yeah, because it's not black people who are attacking me for my upbringing. It's white supremacists mostly who are attacking me for my upbringing.
Oh, okay.
Because they're like, why are you standing up for black people? You went to boarding school. Your parents are professors.
Okay.
One, the idea that professors are rich is a completely flawed idea.
Sure.
Most
especially
teachers,
in New York City, where
absolutely,
it's
like
expensive as hell.
there's a a small number of professors that might make more than $100,000. But right now, today, the only reason I know this is because I've had to look it up to bolster my argument. You know what I'm saying? The average salary for a professor of any school, whether it's a city college or Ivy League right now, is $98,000. Now, when you take a professor who's working at an inner city college or, like in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, or Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, like my father worked at College in New Rochelle on Fulton Street in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, when I was growing up. My mother to this day works at Medgar Evers College in Crown Heights. Yeah. These are some of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. Yeah. These are city colleges. These are not rich institutions. Yeah. And so you take that average number of 98, you have to cut that in half. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that these are black institutions, you have to cut that even half even more. Yeah. And then when you take it back to the fact that I'm talking about 1975 to 1985, we're not talking about now. Yeah. So one is the idea that professors are rich. That's just a lie. Yeah. Secondly, the idea that somehow Park Slope, Brooklyn has always been the neighborhood where, Maggie Gyllenhaal lives. You know what I'm saying? It's not always been that neighborhood.
Right. Right. It's been gentrified heavily.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. When I grew up in Park Slope, it wasn't the Park Slope of nowadays. It wasn't.
Right. Well, nor was New York in general.
And obviously there are neighborhoods in Brooklyn that are far worse, such as Crown Heights and Bed-Stuy are worse than Park Slope, but it was never this place where rich people lived. And now what I will say is we have to acknowledge our privileges. Yeah. I am more privileged to grow up in Park Slope than a black kid who grew up in Brownsville. Yeah. I have educational privilege. Yeah. I've inherited educational privilege by being born in a house full of professors. Yeah. Most people are not. 50 Cent raps about he was born in a house of drug dealers. Yes. So it informed his content, informed who he was as an individual.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare. This episode is supported by Helix. All right, let's talk about something we both really care deeply about: sleep.
It's the most important thing. I've had my Helix mattress for years now, and I genuinely think it's one of the best investments you can make for your home. Mine still feels just like it did when I first got it.
Well, that's the thing. It's not one of those mattresses that caves in after 6 months. These things are built to last. And, I'm a side sleeper. I ordered a side sleeper, and I get hot, so I have cooling. And I can't tell you how much more comfortable it is to be in there, not sweating and tossing and turning.
Cooling is really important. I've read that you're supposed to sleep a little bit cold. Mm-hmm. So I also have cooling. And they have over 20 models. So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. You just go take their quiz and they match you to what actually works for your body.
Plus, they've got cooling upgrades, which heading into summer, non-negotiable.
Truly.
Go to helixsleep.com/armchair for 20% off. That's helixsleep.com/armchair for 20% off. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/armchair. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So, Monica, here's something that really stuck with me. BetterHelp's 2026 State of Stigma report surveyed 2,000 Americans and revealed that 85% of Americans believe getting support is wise. Yet 74% say society discourages people from doing so.
That's a huge gap. Most of us agree therapy is a good thing, but there's still something holding some people back from actually going.
Right. And I think that's where just talking about it, normalizing it makes a difference.
I mean, as you know, I'm obsessed with therapy. I've been in it consistently for years and years and years. And I have said this and I shouldn't say it, but I do think if you're struggling and you've been struggling for a while and you haven't sought therapy, I judge you a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, I know. And I got to go to therapy to work on that, but also there are options for you. You can help yourself. And BetterHelp makes that first step easier. They match you with a licensed therapist based on your needs. And with over 30,000 therapists and 12 plus years of experience, they typically get the match right the first time.
Don't let stigma stand in the way of support. Start therapy with BetterHelp. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Dax. That's betterhelp.com/Dax. This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app where you can bank, borrow, and invest all in one place.
Let's talk bank accounts for a second. The average bank savings rate is 0.39% in interest. You're earning pennies on your savings, but it does not have to be that way.
With SoFi high-yield checking and savings, the money barely making moves sitting in your savings account can earn over 8 times the national average savings rate with eligible direct deposit.
No account or overdraft fees, which feels rare these days. You can get your paycheck up to 2 days early, perfect for getting ahead of a bill or grabbing what you need right when you need it.
Plus, get up to a $300 welcome bonus when you sign up with eligible direct deposit. Sign up for SoFi checking and savings at SoFi.com/armchair. SoFi checking and savings is offered through SoFi Bank N.A. member FDIC. Terms apply.
But there is, right, in the hip hop music world, there is that's a commodity, or it has been a commodity.
Like street cred.
Yeah, street cred. Well, certainly suburban white kids are drawn to the danger of that whole world.
Absolutely.
It's so exotic. So then it's obviously inflated and characterized by a lot of the singers, right?
Well, just like you said, you were drawn to certain dangerous elements.
Yes.
Because of how you grew up, so was I.
Yeah.
And
I want to be in the Hells Angels.
Yeah, so even you're a
like,
tough
what?
guy. But my parents changed their situation. We grew up in a railroad apartment. I lived in a room with my brother. We had bunk beds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by the time I was in high school, my parents bought their first house. And then my parents were so focused on education. When I was failing out of Brooklyn Tech, they put all their money into sending me to boarding school. And to be honest with you, and I don't really speak about this as often, but it broke them. It broke their finances. It broke up their marriage. It was a tough situation.
Really?
You know, I really, really thank my parents for taking me out of the inner city school system and doing everything they could to put me in boarding school. It changed my life around. I probably would have been in jail right now.
Yeah. And what, you went to a boarding school in Connecticut?
I did. Me and James Vanderbeek went to the same school.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Really?
Cheshire Academy.
The Beak. Were you friends?
We were.
Really?
He acted in the first play that I wrote.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
This is very exciting. This is like finding out that Jada Pinkett Smith and Tupac were friends in
like,
school.
who's the Jada Pinkett Smith in this relationship?
James Vanderbeek, I think.
I'm Tupac.
Yeah. So you leave Brooklyn and you go to a boarding school. And what grade is this?
This is 10th grade.
Okay. So yeah, that scares the fuck out of me thinking of that. I moved schools in 9th grade, a new high school, and that was very hard.
Yeah.
Because I had this whole identity perfectly carved out, and then I showed up this place, and they had better shoes than I did, and everything unraveled, my pimples and bad haircut, whatever. Is it safe to assume this boarding school in Connecticut is a lot more white people now?
Yeah, it was 137 kids in the whole school. There were 6 black kids. 5 of them were there to play basketball.
Okay. And you weren't one of those.
I was not one on the basketball team.
Yeah.
I was in drama.
So when I talked to Joy on here, she had a very similar experience. So she grew up. Why can't I remember the name of that, Monica? Where'd she grow up?
Bronx.
She left the Bronx and went to a Connecticut boarding school as well.
Do you remember which one?
I don't.
I probably played them in lacrosse.
Yeah. Oh my God! Did you know that was her sport?
I didn't play lacrosse.
You didn't?
I played baseball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played baseball, but I did pick up a stick and I learned the basic lacrosse moves.
Well, her thing was, I'm not going to come here and sing. Like, I know you guys want me to run track and play basketball, but I'm going to play lacrosse, tennis. So she specifically chose all kind of traditionally, I
was in Blue Key Society. I was in I was in drama. I was in I played baseball. I played baseball in Brooklyn, so that was a natural fit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and what's funny is I think she said them by her senior year. She's like, "Oh fuck it, I'll run track," and then she was great at track.
Right.
Yeah. Just ran past.
But hers
everyone.
was intentional. She made
Yes.
a choice. Was yours, or you just those were the things you liked, and so you did
No,
them?
yeah, I mean, it sounds like she was more intentional. Those were definitely my interests. But I do have I remember Mr. Casson, my first day, the basketball coach, he came up to me and was in my ear for a half hour about joining the basketball team. And I'm like, you don't get it. I suck at basketball.
Yeah, I'm not that black kid. And so when you go there, do you fit in easily?
It took about a year.
I'm so afraid of saying all these cliches, but I think I'm interested in them for reasons downriver, which is, are you code switching? You're now learning to go back and forth between the Bronx and Connecticut and succeed in both places.
Code switching is a great word, and that's exactly it. Is that what I learned that if you make yourself indispensable, that you can do anything you want. And by being the black kid who was not on the basketball team, being the black kid who was on the
roto fucking play,
I remember I was selling pot at the school, and boarding school. If anybody's been to boarding school, you get kicked out for that.
Right.
All the white kids who got caught selling drugs, you got kicked out.
Yeah.
They pulled me in, had a meeting. They was like, "You have to stop selling.
Oh, really?
Please, you have to stop. We can't afford to lose you."
Yeah, yeah, you're too important.
Yeah,
to
so
us.
learn that lesson though. That was a life lesson. I was like, okay, you just gotta. These rules don't matter.
Right. Yeah. That is a kind of important something to observe early on, which is like, okay, yeah, there's an architecture to all this, but you can also get outside of it, right? I think so much of like people you see who make it to, let's say Bill Clinton, right? He runs for governor of Arkansas. You're too young. That can't be done. No one's ever been that young. And then he wins. Then he gets booted. And then he runs again. They're like, no one's ever come back. So if he's gathering all this data that says, oh no, these rules I was told don't really apply to me.
Yeah.
Then of course you think you can get a blowjob in the White House because you've already proven that like most of these rules you've been told are pretty fluid.
Excellent point.
So in what was your favorite part of that experience of being in that world?
Really that education, learning how white people deal with each other, spending the night, like making friends with white kids, going to their houses, spending, sometimes on the weekend I wouldn't go home.
Yeah.
You go to spend the weekend at your friend's house and just seeing how white families with means operated and how that was different from where I came from.
Yeah.
It's like Chappelle's joke about going to his friend's house and they're about to eat the stovetop.
Stuff.
It's exactly that.
So funny.
It's the stovetop experience.
Yeah, that was tremendous. So you saw that special, right?
I did.
Did you love it?
I did. I'm good friends with him, so I watched him develop those jokes over time all over the world. Like I've watched him in London and in Ohio and San Francisco developing those jokes, and some of them were a lot worse.
Yeah.
He reined some of that stuff in for the special.
Break a lot of eggs.
We're
before
super
that.
fans of his.
He's great.
That special, we were taken aback by that special.
He also in its there's so many political things you and I could talk about eventually, but one of the cool things about him, like when you're talking about what you picked up there and code switching, all these different elements can put someone in a very unique position to make some observations that most people can't. Right. So whereas there's something about Chappelle, I think, being black that allows him to do some things that I can't get up on stage and do. There's some observations that he's saying that I'm like, oh, I'm so glad he's saying that because it's really not my position to say that, but I have the same thought. When he's getting into the fact of like, look, I can think something's weird and I can make fun of it and also really want the rights of that person to be protected. And I want them to have the same opportunity that anyone else has. And I can also say I think it's weird or funny.
Well, that's just the
I
genius
can't
of
say
comedy.
that as a white dude, nor should I. But I'm glad that somehow buys him some latitude to do that.
Yeah, I've talked to him about some of these jokes, and we've had discussions about, as a comedian, you're allowed to generalize to a certain degree.
Yes.
You're a lot of the great comedians, whether it's Dice Clay or Chris Rock or Chappelle, or Sam Kinison, is like it's based on huge sweeping generalizations.
Yeah,
of people.
Women do this, men do this.
Yeah,
Black people
women
do this,
be
white people
shopping.
do, yeah.
And it gets to the point where it can either become cliched or it can lead to a very astute social commentary, depending on which way you take it.
Yes. Well, he has the most artful way of weaving in really poignant historical stuff. And I just think above all skills, that's the one that he's just incredible at. I think Chris Rock does it too pretty well, but boy, Chappelle really you can actually be choked up in the middle of that thing. Yeah.
It's special what he does. He has a special gift.
Yeah. So you get out of this boarding school. Do you go straight to NYU? You go to NYU at some point.
I graduated in 93 and I started in NYU. My roommate was John Forte. We started together. And
who's John Forte?
John Forte is a rapper that I grew up with. He became famous because he produced on that first Fugees album.
Oh, okay.
And then he's on the record with Wyclef, Staying Alive.
Okay.
He's on the Fugees song Cowboys and Family.
Yeah.
But he famously got arrested for selling drugs and did 8 years in prison. And then George Bush, the last thing George Bush did before he left office was pardon John Forte.
You are kidding me.
So he's been out since 2004.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah,
of
I didn't
all
either.
people to pardon him. Why? How did that?
He was very good friends with Taylor. I forget the guy's first name. James Taylor and Carly Simon's son.
Oh, okay.
He's good friends with John Forte. So he spends a lot of time at Carly Simon's house in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
Next door is Orrin Hatch,
Oh, my
senator
God.
Republican from Pennsylvania. Orrin Hatch falls in love with John Forte as an artist. John Forte goes to jail. Orrin Hatch, as despicable as he can be, spends a lot of time in George Bush's ear like, you got to get my man John Forte out.
Yeah.
You got to get him out. You got to get him out.
Yeah.
So John Forte is, John Forte is just like me. He's the same politics as me.
Yeah.
But he's a guy who was pardoned by George W. Bush.
What a wild story.
And now God bless him. He now lives in Martha's Vineyard. He has a brand new baby. His Instagram is just full of joy. You know what I'm saying? Like every day is him and his baby and walking on
Does
a
he
hike.
hashtag thank you, George W?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't do that.
But you point out something great, and I think this is something lacking. I think as and you and I are both on Twitter, and I see your arguments a lot, and I get into myself. But I think we have really more than ever been forced into this binary opposition, right? Like, so the neighbor on Martha's Vineyard who was in George W. Bush's ear, right? So like you're kind of forced now to either soup to nuts hate a person. Or soup to nuts love a person, right? And to soup to nuts love a person, you got to now start excusing all the human shit they do. And then to soup to nuts hate a person, you got to ignore some shit like whispering in George W. Bush's ear.
Right.
And people are so complex, right?
That's a good point.
There's amazing virtue, and then there's despicable deeds, and it's just this. We all are this way,
Right?
If you got to peek on my whole life, there's shit you'd go, well, that's a bad person. That human being is no good. We should throw them out. But it's just one big thing. We gotta be able to pick what things we like and dislike, and not shut everything down.
Well, for activism, and I'm speaking, most people are not activists, and in the activist community, it's definitely, which I consider myself a part of.
Yes.
It's definitely a which side are you on conversation.
Yes.
It's like either you're going to be down with this solidarity, down with this intersectionality, or I'm going to treat you like you're the enemy. And so I get that gut instinct. But of course there's nuances, and there's, human nature, and there's people grow and people change, and not everybody agrees. So you have to, it's very, very, social media has made it harder for us to have those conversations, because now everyone is volunteering their bullshit.
Yeah.
Before it was like you really had to get to know somebody to understand really that was your enemy. Now somebody could just say something like, I don't like that Beyonce wore dressed like a panther at the Super Bowl. And you're like, fuck you forever.
You could not know. You could be at the grocery store, see that same person you hate doing something with their child, where you go like, oh my God, that's just a good human being. Look at that care that they're giving to this other person.
I think it's I think that's just growth.
Yeah.
That's just growth and paying attention. I think if you're focused on growing as a person, you're going to be aware of those things.
Yeah.
And the people who make arguments online with strangers, they're just completely not aware of any of those things. The people who jump in and be like, I'm going to tell you my opinion. And I would say most of the people who come at me and say something that I'm like, well, that was really racist. They've never been called a racist in their life.
Right.
And they never even thought their intention wasn't racism. Yeah. They just were like, they saw something that triggered them for some reason.
Sure.
And they're not understanding their privilege in that situation.
Right.
And they're doing what they've been taught in America. You're taught that you're special. You're taught that you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to say whatever you want. And this is a free country.
Well, you're very, very encouraged to be an individual above all things.
Yeah.
So you're almost hardwired to be provocative. You're stepping out probably a little further than your position maybe even is. And this is one of my issues that you and I will probably disagree with, but I worry about the term racist. I worry about the term homophobic. I worry about all these terms that have no gradation in them. And so when I see them used, I think a little bit flippantly, I go, well, that really undermines what we're calling David Duke. If you're going to call the dude who made, something that was just insensitive and not aware of their privilege versus a man whose goal is to strengthen the white race and get everyone out of this country, we need different words for that. Even in the Me Too movement, in Matt Damon came under fire for this. There is a difference between Weinstein and
Al Franken.
Al Franken.
But see, I think Matt Damon is a good example because here's somebody who, there's some bias here. You might be friends with Matt Damon. You might. I'm a fan. I've never met the man.
Yeah,
I'm a super fan of his work.
Love his work.
Right. Yeah. I've seen him do things and say things that were a little insensitive. Like there was a whole thing with the Project Greenlight thing and whether or not they were working with people of color. I don't remember the details from that, but I remember reading it and being like, you need some education on that error.
Sure.
So with the Me Too comment,
Yeah.
while technically what he's saying is correct, the way he said it and his position of privilege in that situation is what made it incorrect, because he started with, if I remember correctly, and you probably could look it up.
Yeah.
We started with, I haven't been paying attention to what's been said. You can't start like that.
Okay.
You can't come into it saying, I haven't really been paying attention.
I'm ignorant on this topic.
Right, but here's
I'm
my
gonna give
opinion.
you- Okay. Yeah.
Right. And so his opinion was what you just said, which on the surface, I agree with. But if you're Matt Damon, who worked closely with Harvey Weinstein on many
yes.
projects.
Yes.
Like Harvey Weinstein's been very involved in your career, and you've broken a lot of bread with him and made a lot of money with him.
Yeah.
You probably should just shut the fuck up on that subject matter.
I don't think Matt Damon's leaving his house and hosting a press conference. He's out promoting something completely unrelated, and
Absolutely.
they are only asking him that because he does know Weinstein. So now
Right.
his options are to say completely silence, which you could say that you're supporting through silence, or he's got to wade out into the waters and say something. So he's in a lose-lose situation right out of the gates, because he didn't come to this press conference,
He's
to
promoting
this
his-
junket. Yes,
Yeah.
whatever. Fucking,
But I think he
him
did
in a
have a
samurai
responsibility.
outfit, and
Which,
all of a sudden,
okay, that's another point.
Okay.
Now, while I watched that movie,
What
right?
is the movie?
I forget the name of it.
Okay.
I watched that movie, and as much as I enjoyed the action scenes,
Yeah.
and as a big of a fan I am of Matt Damon,
Yeah.
I'm like, do we need to see another fucking white guy in Asia? Like, what is this? Why is he just killing everything? And it's like you're doing this, and then you're like, hey, But I think I think what he should have done,
Yeah.
what he had to do, which he didn't do, was because you're so close to Weinstein, it's your duty to inform yourself about what's going on. You can't show up at an interview and be like, I don't know what's going on. And I've learned the hard way, because what I did on Twitter, I had an argument with a feminist collective of people.
Okay.
That I, to this day, feel like I'm owed an apology for, and felt like I was right in the points I was making. But the thing I did wrong was I self-declared myself an ally to these people.
Yeah.
And I
yeah,
learned online that you can't do that.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Yeah, so I've learned the hard way that I'm Talib Kweli. I make songs uplifting women. I got Black Girl Pain, and all these positive things I've said and done for women.
Yeah.
And I'm being attacked by these feminists. And I'm like, my first reaction, like, hold up, I'm your ally.
Yes.
And that's where I fucked up at. And it's because I didn't recognize my privilege in that situation. So while 90% of what I said was right, because I approached it from a privileged position, it dismantled
It couldn't be
everything I was
heard.
saying. You know what I'm saying? Which was hard for me to swallow, because it was such a good point.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
But I have something to say real quick.
Yeah,
about this.
please.
That's true, but we can't, I'll take the Me Too movement because I'm a woman. We can't do anything without male allies. We cannot. We have to have people, and same with the race stuff. You have to have people on both ends.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that.
Really?
Oh, here
because-
we go.
because-
Could you guys tweet this to each other?
Because like if I got a white guy come to me on Twitter and say, hey, Kweli, black people say nigga, why can't I say nigga? And I explain it to him, and he says, yeah, I don't agree with you. And then my next thing is, well, you don't have to agree with me. I don't fucking need your opinion, and I really don't need you. Like I tell white people all the time who tell me you need white allies. No, I don't need allies based on their color. I need allies based on their allyship.
But I think the point that Monica's making, which is unavoidable, which is 50% of this country is male. So sure, you could do whatever you wanted on your side of the street as a woman, but you're ignoring the fact that 50% of this country is male. So ultimately, we do need men to change,
We
right?
need
So
men
we
to
gotta
acknowledge there's a problem and
also help probably mentor other men in how to fucking do this right.
That's true, but they
You
can't
know?
really be an ally until they do that. So if someone hasn't done that work, then that person you don't need. You need the person who's already done that work.
Yeah.
But I guess the question that we're all trying to get to is, well, how do you get someone to do that work if the first interaction is confrontational?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think, and you can speak for women, I'll speak for black people.
I'll speak for hillbillies.
And not, well, you can speak for yourself. I'll speak for myself. You know what I'm saying? I think the gut reaction for many people of color is what you just said. Is like, we need other people to do the work. So your gut reaction when someone comes to you, challenging you to do the work that you've been doing your whole fucking life, is like, fuck you, get the fuck out of here. I'm not trying to hear that shit. Take that shit, go talk to someone who's being racist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
But I also think we've definitely lost the nuance in this country. We've lost the ability to hold two conflicting opinions at the same time. We have lost the middle road between anything. You know, what no one would accept is, so my little sister, I fucking love her. You just met her. She could kill 12 people. I might think she needs to go to jail, but I also will publicly say I love her. I will love her no matter what she does. I love her. So what Matt Damon probably feels conflicted about is, I love Harvey Weinstein. I've had this relationship with him. There is a side of him that I know intimately and I love, and I'm very bummed that this is another part of him. But that doesn't mean you pulled my heart out. I think you see it a lot with other comedians who are friends with Louis C.K. Like, you have this whole experience in life with somebody, then you find out something terrible about them. And I think the outside world wants you to say, I don't love or care about this person. This person's evil and they should be put in a hole. But that's just not realistic. That's not, there's no nuance to that. There's no reality. It's like, all things are true. This is despicable. I'm so bummed he did this. I also love this person would still push him out of the way of a train. Like, all things are happening at once.
Right. Well, look at Adam Horowitz from the Beastie Boys.
What happened with him?
Whose father was a professor in New York, and it just recently came out a few months ago that there was a bunch of sexually harassment, assault allegations against his father.
Okay.
He's named after his father. So Adam,
Right.
Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys, named after his father.
Yeah.
He came out immediately and was like, I think my father did all that. And he's still my father, but I stand with these women. I've noticed in the public sphere, he doesn't identify with his father's last name. And so,
Yes.
so I think that's the sort of counter to the, well, I love this person, because you can, I'm sure he still loves his father.
Like, is there anything your kids could do? There's nothing they could do, right? That would ever make you not love them.
Absolutely.
And not you know.
Absolutely.
Kristen and I have had these crazy hypothetical conversations where we find out our oldest daughter is killing and eating people. And she says, what do you do? And I say, I take her to an island where there's no people. I'll live the rest of my life and babysit her. I fucking am dedicated. Like, I love her. Nothing can happen.
And I think the human spirit allows for that. We all relate to that. But I think when we talk about a responsibility you have to the society, especially as a public figure, it becomes a different, it's like the Spider-Man thing. With great power comes great responsibility. And
Yes.
if you've lived a life that you've attained this great power through celebrity or being famous, you got to be careful with how you wield it.
Yes.
And what you say. And the Louis C.K. thing is interesting to me because I'm a huge fan. I'm a member of his fan club.
Yeah.
The day that stuff came out, he was just announced that he was putting out his movie. I was about to buy it for $5. Then I couldn't buy the movie, and there was like, I think Mark Maron. I think his response was something that I was able to look at and relate to, and understand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For him being
because
so
he
close.
basically said that, right? Like, all I can say is he is a really good friend, and I'm really sad by this.
But he also, the thing I think was important for him to say is, he said that I was friends with these comedians that were accusing him of this, and they didn't feel comfortable enough to tell me.
Right.
So what am I doing wrong that women I'm friends with can't come to me with this?
Oh, he said that.
Yeah, and he's like,
that's cool.
it was really interesting because he spoke about Louis, and he spoke about how he didn't like what he was. He also said that Louis lied to him. And he said he was still his friend, but he was like, I looked around, and what I do, I don't hire women in my work. And he said it made me. He said I'm 40, 50 something years old, and I'm still growing as a person with this issue.
Yeah.
How can I have made it to this age and still be this ignorant about my own relationships?
Yeah.
And I think when you stop growing, that's when you die.
Jon Stewart had a very similar funny response to being accused by Slate or some online magazine that his show was just a boys club and all this. He said this on Stern. And he was so offended by it, right? He was so hurt because, again, he thinks of himself as a real champion for women, right?
Yeah.
And he's just wrestling with it all day, all night. He goes to the writer's room the next morning. He goes, can you believe what this woman said, Mike? John, did you hear this? Phil, did you hear what the...
Right.
He goes,
right.
Oh, shit.
Right.
Oh, shit. There is some... She has a point.
Right. I just wrote an essay for Medium called Free Speech or Die, where I talked about how I feel like the alt-right is weaponizing free speech to shut down speech they just don't want to hear. And one of the points I make about the Me Too thing and safe spaces and trigger warnings and comedians like Chris Rock, who say I don't go to colleges anymore because it's too politically correct.
Yeah.
The first point I make is, one, I don't hold a comedian to the same standard I would hold a politician or Richard Spencer. You know,
Right.
I like we talked earlier, comedians is based on generalization. So I don't expect a comedian to be politically correct, but at the same time, the people at these colleges, the kids at these colleges, from the French Revolution to the counterculture movement in the 60s, they've always been on the right side of history. So if they're wrongly accusing people of things every once in a while, we might just have to take that as a society.
Yeah,
Like,
some collateral damage.
yeah, there's somebody who might get called a rapist who's not really a rapist. That's going to happen. But I think we have to, I think because of what women have gone through.
But can I just say something on that point, which is that's hard for me to swallow because our entire judicial system is set up on the opposite principle, which is we're going to have to live with some guilty people getting off so that no innocent person goes to prison. That's the ideal that we've kind of all collectively agreed upon for 300 years. So for me, that is hard to know that someone's going to go down. That's innocent. I don't know why. That's really hard for me to swallow.
It's fucked up. But what I'm saying is that it's like the conversation in South Africa right now. It's like white farmers. There's the Nazi propaganda is that white farmers are being genocided. It's white genocide going to South Africa because people are taking retribution for the land that has been stolen. It's like there are going to be some innocent white farmers that are going to get killed in South Africa. It's going to happen. You know how many innocent black farmers have been killed? You know how many innocent black. So when you look at the numbers game, it's just a fact of life that is I don't know how you guys believe in karma. You know what I'm saying? But it's karma. It's chickens coming home to roost.
Yeah. So yes, what's often at play is that there are contradictory motives that we all have. So even our Constitution, this country, we are based both in liberty and we're based in equality. Both of those are explicitly stated goals. And often those two things are in direct opposition.
Yeah.
And so we are never going to get 100% liberty, nor are we going to get 100% equality because we have we have conflicting principles we're trying to pay service to. So this little pendulum is swinging back and forth between liberty and equality, and and it can't be in one place. And likewise, you're bringing up something which I agree with, which is a utilitarian view of the world, which is at the end of the day, if this results in change, yes, some innocent white farmers die, a ton of black folks died. It's all going to come out in the wash. I will agree with that statement. But at the same time, I will then have a Kantian view of the world and go, no, one innocent man cannot go to prison. I do not accept that. So I have, I'm juggling two different, almost opposing philosophies.
I'm the same as you. I am the same as you. And it's like, there's going to be times when it's unpopular, like Aziz Ansari is a great example, where his story came out, he was accused, and our culture is like, you believe the victim immediately. That's that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But when you look at the blog, what was it, babe.net? What kind of peer reviewed is this blog that the story's on? The person's anonymous. Yeah. When you look at that site, every other story is a gossip story. So it's not like that came out of the New York Times and the person gave their name. Yeah. So can it be credible? Well, does Aziz add credibility to it? Because he definitely did text this woman back, and you know what I'm saying? But did he pursue? So it's like all these things. Yeah. And I think it's definitely his word versus hers. None of us were there. Right. But at what point, but that's really the conversation, is like, at what point does it become credible? Does it become credible on the accusation?
Yes.
Or do we actually look at the facts? And I think that's really what the conversation.
Well, and also let's add this. This is something that I don't ever hear brought up, which I think about all the time. If you and I leave here right now and we go to the grocery store and we spend an hour there and you ask us a week later what happened in that grocery store, I will promise you and I will have a completely different experience because I have all these triggers, right? I have fears. So I think, I grew up going to special ed. I think people think I'm stupid. So I'll remember this moment between the cashier and I that I interpreted as him thinking I was too dumb to find my credit card. You would have not seen that, right? It's a totally different, because I am so imprisoned by my lens that I am telling you the truth and you are telling the truth. And that is hard for us to acknowledge, that two people can both be telling the truth and those things not meet up or jive. It doesn't mean one person's lying. It means that one person had a much different experience.
Yeah.
And Aziz is very cool. I think he's handled this in a great way, which is like, when she started saying that was really disturbing to me, it seemed like he pretty much said, wow, I had such a different experience.
Right.
I'm sorry. Let's talk about this.
Right.
Which I think is about as good as you can do in that moment.
And also his personality that he's developed through his comedy.
Yeah. And his
is
show.
that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he plays Tom Haverford and he plays Randy and he plays these sort of misogynistic characters to make fun of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of his stand up is awkward moments with women.
Yeah.
Awkward hookup moments, awkward dating moments.
Yes.
And so it went that exchange was like the sort of like the doppelganger version of him, if you're to believe everything that happened.
What I want to talk about is that in 1993, I graduated in 93 as well. In about 91 or 92, I'm discovering Jazzmatazz, which I think you and I bonded on.
Yeah, that's a good
when I
record.
came to see you two times ago. Donald Byrd, that opened me up to Donald Byrd. I went down a Donald Byrd rabbit hole. I'm also loving De La Soul in 91, right? Maybe Three Feet Rising comes out, and they fucking sampled Steely Dan. And I know. Yeah, things are happening at that moment. And that's right when you're kind of coming of age as an artist, right? Or you're starting to go, oh, I'm going to do this, right? A very golden kind of period for you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That stuff all inform what music you
Absolutely.
chose to do?
That's absolutely it.
Yeah.
Those are the artists that I was looking up to.
Did you like Arrested Development?
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, God. And then obviously you like Tribe Called Quest, I'm sure
Yes.
a ton. And so was it helpful to have those examples? Because I touched on it earlier, which was at that time, what was being monetized to great success is the kind of gangbanger lifestyle.
Well, that whole hip hop aesthetic was that 90s era. Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg are probably the most popular act from hip hop in the early 90s. They broke through on MTV in a way that nobody else did.
Yeah.
But Tribe Called Quest went platinum. Cypress Hill went platinum. Das Effects went platinum. Gangstar, Nicest Move. These were De La Soul. Everybody went platinum.
Yeah.
These are platinum million seller, 2 million, 3 million seller records.
Yeah.
So it's an underground aesthetic, but it was going just as platinum as the gangster stuff was back then.
Right. You have your exact same career in 1980 or 90. You're selling a ton of albums, right? Album sales have just precipitously fallen off since those days.
Yeah,
of
people
Dr.
don't
Dre,
buy
right?
records.
So
like
the
that.
money is in touring. That becomes the business.
The money's always been in touring because even when people did buy records, they were paying the record company, not the artists. And so the artists who became entrepreneurs and had their own labels who were really getting paid are few and far between. As a matter of fact, on the Forbes list that just came out, the 3 highest paid musicians right now in the world are Jay-Z, Diddy, and Dr. Dre. All people who were smart enough to go independent 20 years ago.
Death Row. I saw a great documentary on them. Yeah, and at one point they had $500 million.
This is the Defiant ones.
Well, that one was fucking phenomenal.
I didn't see it yet.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't. It's in my queue. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
This is this is the highest compliment I can pay to things, and I often will like email someone I've seen their work. When you make something that makes me feel like a piece of shit, like a useless, unproductive, uncreative piece of shit, I'm like, that's a good documentary. Because I watched the Defiant ones, and I'm like, you're a loser, man.
What are you doing with your life?
Just so impressive, all the stories that they go through. I think you'd really dig it as a musician too, because even like Bruce Springsteen, who of course I've respected, I didn't really know what his work program was, his work.
Yeah.
And you know,
I love the boss.
Yeah, and Jimmy Iovine was really educated through recording an album with
Springsteen.
Yes, and learning that work ethic and things like that. I really pick up that I love. It's like, well, I can never sing like Bruce Springsteen. I can't do these things, but boy, I can have that work ethic.
Right.
Minimally, I should have that work ethic.
Right.
You have that work ethic. This is your 16th album that you're out on tour with right now,
Yes.
right? Radio Silence.
Yes.
How are you so prolific? How do you stay creatively kind of inspired?
I love it.
You just love it.
I love it. I'll be doing it whether I was successful at it or not.
Yeah.
I didn't start to make money or to have fans. I started because I love it. So that's really inspiration. And then I'm rewarded from it because I can pay my bills.
Yeah.
Can raise my kids. So on top of loving it, there are people do things because they're rewarded. And I'm greatly rewarded for participating in hip hop.
And your first success is Black Star. Is that
Yeah.
fair to say?
Yeah.
And how do you know Mos Def? Can I just tell you how much anxiety I get when I say certain names? Even your name scares the fuck out of me. It wasn't until I went and saw you and saw your friends were calling you Qual.
Right.
And I was like, ooh, Qual, that's easy for me. I wonder if one day I'll just be able to call him Qual. Anywho,
No, I met
Mos Def, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's now Yasin Bey, but
okay.
still answers to Mos Def.
Okay.
I was a fan of his. He was a guy who he had a record called group called Urban Thermodynamics, and then he had a single as Most Def, and he was just a local hero.
Yeah.
Malcolm Jamal Warner had a spin-off show from the Cosby Show where Theo's character was a teacher at some school.
Yeah.
And Most was a character on it. There was a Deion Sanders American Express commercial where Most was in the commercial. This is before our career started.
Yeah.
So he was like a local guy, makes good.
So he's acting and
He's acting. He has, he's on the Cosby Mysteries at this time. He had a real close relationship with with Cosby and that crew. And he just was a guy in Brooklyn who would freestyle in the park with us, but then leave and go have a job. And all of us were broke. None of us were working. And he's being paid to rap and act at the time when I was just a teenager doing it.
Yeah. And is he your mentor at that point? Is he?
To a certain degree, I've learned he's special. I've learned so much from him. I learned how to record from him. I learned stagecraft from him. I learned my worth from him. He would walk into meetings and be like, we need X amount of dollars. And I would look at him like, shut the fuck up. He's like, get out the room. What are you doing? And they would give it to him. And I'd be like, oh shit, we're worth that much?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I learned even how to just stand my ground in a business meeting for most of that.
And is the Black Star experience 0 to 60, or is it a slow burn?
No, it was zero. It was pretty much zero. It was he became a fan of mine because he was coming to the bookstore that I was working at.
Okay.
I was giving him books to read, and then we had children at the same time. The mothers of our children became friends, so I started hanging out with him at his house. But I'm still a fan.
Yeah.
And so I would leave demo tapes at his house. And then one day he called me. He was like, I listened to your demo tape and it was really good. And we made a song together. And when he was signed to Raucous at the time. We made a song together. I took the song that we made to Raucous. And they were like, we can put this out. I played them a bunch of my solo stuff. They didn't like any of it. I played them a song I had with Most Def. They're like, this is a moneymaker. And people really, it's called Fortify Live. People liked the song so much that when I was performing at open mics, Most would show up. When he was doing shows, I would show up. Yeah. And we developed this camaraderie on stage that predated the Black Star thing. But the people at Raucous noticed it. They were like, they were going to put out a record with me and Hot Tech and a Most Def record. But they asked us to make a record together to sort of put our names out there more.
Yeah.
And that's when we came with the idea of Black Star. So it took about a year to record. We dropped it. And from the time we dropped it, it was treated like an actual rap record.
Yeah.
And it was like I did.
How old were you?
20, maybe 21.
Holy fuck. What happens to your ego at that point?
My ego didn't really take off until maybe 3-4 years later. It took 3-4 years for me to be like, I'm the shit.
Yeah.
But back then I was still a fan.
It's so tricky to give young people, right, a level of success. There's no training for that, right?
Yeah. See, we were famous, but we weren't making a lot of money.
Okay.
And I've never made $1 million in this. I mean, over time I have, but I'm a very working class musician. You could probably, go to be a dentist and make more than me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a yo-yo.
That's another great Chris Rock joke.
Yeah. It's like,
you could be an average dentist.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. But what I have is cultural currency. Mm-hmm. I could walk into any room I want to walk into. Yeah. I could walk in any party I want to walk into. And what I have that most working class people don't have, the privilege of being a celeb, is even though I'm a working class musician, I can just go out there and create money. Whereas working class people have to wait 5 years to build up. I can be like, okay, I'm going to go do this deal.
And you also have something that could only occur to you in retrospect, which is by not being the brightest flame in the lineup, you also didn't burn out.
Right.
It's not like Vanilla Ice has this one song that catches the zeitgeist.
Right.
And then there's nothing there beyond that. Like you just have this, super deep bench of work and always being relevant. And that weirdly in the end can shock you of like, oh, that was the right lane to be in maybe.
Right. And it brings it back to the De La Souls and the Gangstars of the world. Everyone has I have 2 or 3 hit records, but I'm not considered a one-hit wonder.
Right.
I am by people who only pay attention to mainstream. Like the white supremacists who troll me on Twitter, they'd be like, you only have 1 hit. Like you don't even pay attention to music. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But to people who pay attention, I'm not a one-hit wonder because that one hit, whether it's Get By or Hot Thing or The Blast, that was parlayed into developing a cult fan base.
That's what blew my mind on Wednesday, which is you do this cool thing where you go, if you were born in the 70s, put your hands up. Of course, I have to sadly put my hand up. And then you go, if the 80s, and I'm thinking, oh, well, there'll be people here in the 80s. Oh, shit, there's more people in the 80s. And then you do 90s, and that was almost the same as the 80s.
Yeah.
And then you do 2000s and there's like a fucking 18-year-old kid in the audience.
Right.
And I was like, that is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Also crazy diverse crowd.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm proud of that crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Mostly thinkers, I would say.
Yeah.
If I could just kind of generalize what I thought I was seeing.
Yeah.
There seemed to be a lot of thinkers there.
Yeah, I think that my music attracts thinking people.
But you're touring and so you say like 3 years later, there has to be a point when you're young that you're like, my God, I am the fucking shit and everyone loves me and this is going to be a rocket ship to.
There was a time I was in a club in New York on 8th Street called 40 Flavors, and Mos Def just reminded me of this recently when we just did a sold out show in Denver. He's like, remember we were sitting in that club and I turned to you and we were in the VIP section of the club and we were like drinking champagne and I was like, Kweli, we're rap stars.
Yeah.
I definitely remember when he said that.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely like a thing that we vocalized between each other.
Yeah. And you're also in a place, and I don't even know if you could have awareness of this because you've only lived there, but New York in particular has a really, if you're famous or if you have cultural capital in New York, it's a much different experience. Mm-hmm. Like it really, the whole city can open up to you. Because I used to go there all the time as someone who was not famous. Mm-hmm. And then one time I went there, I was filming an episode of Punk. For some reason, Ashton was hanging out with Puffy all the time. Mm-hmm. Do you want to come with us? I remember that era. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I am in this long chain of SUVs and we're going in and out of places and the places is stopping and no one has to pay a thing. All these things. And now this is an experience. Now, this does not happen in LA. It's not like you and I could get in some town cars and just start cruising around and be celebrated and not pay a bill. But this was happening. Like, there's this weird kind of like neat history of New York where it's like they like their Sinatras, they like their Billy Joels, they like, you know.
Puff thinks of himself as the black Frank Sinatra.
Yes. He seems to think that.
He really thinks that, and he mentioned it in the Get Him to the Greek movie. He's like, I'm Frank. Why am I Sammy? I'm Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. So it could be even more confusing because that city in particular you will find yourself in a VIP section drinking champagne at 26 years old where that's probably not going to happen other places. And so what does that do to your head? Does that make you less patient with real life, with girlfriends, with wives, with kids?
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's a writer here in Hollywood just yesterday, and she was telling me how when she deals with artists have everything revolving around them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, that's accurate. And it's hard to explain that to people who are not doing art for a living because it's, in a lot of ways you have to do it. Mm-hmm. And when you try to explain that you have to move like that, it sounds callous. Mm-hmm. It sounds out of touch.
Yeah.
I started my career working for Diddy. And handing out flyers and going to parties. So like, Funkmaster Flex and Diddy, like these are the guys I was around before I got known as a rapper. When Diddy sees me now, he's remembering me from when I used to hand out flyers for his parties.
Yeah.
And
go get your shoe shine box.
Yeah, he never sent us to juniors or nothing like that. Yeah. But what's interesting is there was a point in my career where me and Mos Def and everybody else around, we were known for conscious music. Yeah. We're known to be those underground cats. And because I came from the Diddy era, I never was comfortable with that label. So I would go out of my way, and I do it less now as a 43-year-old man. But I was the party fucking king for like 10, 15 years. You didn't go to a party in New York or anywhere in LA. And I mean, they used to throw these parties out here with Zini parties. Like I used to bring Prince out to the party here in LA.
Really?
Like, I would go to the Box in London. Like I was the party fucking king.
Yes.
I'd buy out the bar. I'd buy out the VIP. I'm bringing all my friends in. And it was almost like a way to tell Fit to not put myself in the box. Oh yeah, I'm going to show up at the rally. I'm going to be an activist, but I'm also going to turn up, and you can't put me in that box.
Yes.
It was a focus of mine to go to all the parties and be seen. And that was also, I've grown more into my own skin. I don't feel the need to do that no more. But I definitely spent a lot of years buying a lot of champagne and a lot of bottles of Hennessy, trying to prove that I could out drink and out party everybody.
Yeah. And is it, don't you think that's a product of, I think because we are these social animals that were designed to live in these large groups, that we are very, very consumed with status. We cannot divorce ourselves from it because that's how there's alpha, beta, gamma, all these things. And so invariably you're always comparing yourself to somebody because there's a certain level of anxiety when you're in a group of people and you don't know who's who's the alpha in this situation, you know, who's the boss, who's this, and you're always comparing yourself to people because you're fucking hardwired to do that. How could you not be comparing yourself to all these other people that do the same job as you?
Yeah, I definitely came into the business competition minded. I looked at everyone, even my friends, as competition.
Yeah.
And not in a personal way or a bad way, but just like, okay, in an inspirational way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what he's doing. I can do that better.
If I carve a Mount Rushmore, Bill Murray's on it, David Letterman's on it, Jay-Z's on it. I couldn't be more obsessed with that person.
Jay-Z is a good person to be obsessed with.
And say the line. He said in one of his songs.
He said, "If skills sold, truth be told, I'd probably be lyrically Talib Kweli," which is one of the highest compliments I've been paid in my career. It was great.
I just got goosebumps when you said that.
Yeah, well, if you remember back then, he was saying he was retiring. This is his Black album that he said this on.
Oh, right. Okay.
He said this is my last album. And on his last album, on a song called Moment of Clarity, where the first verse about his father, which Jay-Z never talked about his father in his whole career. His second verse, he's talking about me and Common. I'm studying Jay-Z at this point.
Yeah.
Jay-Z at this point, and when he said it 2004, he's the zeitgeist. He is the culture.
Yes.
It doesn't get bigger or better than Jay-Z. He's walked the line, and what Jay-Z's talent is, he's equally as good at being an MC as he is as a businessman.
Well, yeah.
Which is rare.
Yeah.
You know, you see a guy, I heard Nas made $40 million recently on something. Nas is different. Nas spent his career being a great MC. He didn't focus on the business.
Yeah.
He focused on rap. When he became a grown man, now he's like, okay, now I'm going to invest and I'm going to be this great businessman.
Yeah.
Jay-Z started out like his first rhyme was like, I bet a trip to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Like he's starting out like, I'm going to Vegas on my first album.
Yes.
You know, and that at the point in his career where Jay-Z you couldn't get better than Jay-Z, and he's like, I'm going to stop. And he's thinking about me. And he's thinking about Common.
Yeah.
That fucked me up. And it made me feel like I was doing the right thing.
Does that not just cement, exactly that, going like, I found my right lane and I should stay in it? Because I was just told by somebody that
That's someone I didn't even think thought
was
about
aware
me
of it. Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that so? That to me happened with you, which is, I'm obsessed with you. I have been for a long time. I was just trying to think today how I even probably got turned on to you, but you did one of those Red Hot albums.
Yeah.
That must be where I found you. Although I liked Black Star, but I didn't.
It's interesting because with that Red Hot thing, I'm writing this book. That Red Hot thing is, as I'm proud of participating in those albums, is a very small footnote. Yeah. But those Red Hot albums must have meant a lot to people because
New York is red hot.
Yeah, like my editor for my book, I turned in the book I was telling him about 40 chapters. Yeah. He's like, "Can you write more about the Red Hot thing?" And I'm like, "What?"
Because it's a tiny little moment in your
but it means a lot to a lot of people. Obviously,
it does. I think because you know what had happened is I think I went down the Jazzmatazz rabbit hole, and somehow it just ended up into, and that stuff had a lot of jazz fusion stuff going on in it.
Red Hot of Africa with Fela.
Yeah, and I think that's how I found you. So I'm obsessed with you. Of course, I'm just assuming for no good reason, although now I've come to realize a lot of rappers are super into comedy for whatever reason.
Yeah, there's a marriage there.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like Kanye's always at Largo and shit, seeing kind of underground comedy, right? He's friends with Aziz. He loves comedy. Yeah. So it makes more sense to me now. But at any rate, I followed you on Twitter for a long time. And then I think I just kind of commented on something. And then you wrote me something really nice. And then you said, "Oh, I've seen most of the shit you're in." And I was like, that same thing. I was like, this is not possible. This can't be. How could this human being who I look up to be aware of me? This is weird. Can't resist those butterflies of being recognized by people I look up to.
I think I first noticed you. I saw you on Punk'd, but I think I first noticed you in Idiocracy. Right. And I followed Mike Judge from early Beavis and Butthead stuff. And I was just like, anything Mike Judge did, I would just watch over and over again. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I just your range was very impressive to me from the first time. Your range. I know it's focused on funny characters, but it's like it's just it's incredible range, man.
Oh, thank you. Here's what you've worked with Kanye, right? Mm-hmm. And I've met him. I sometimes will defend him. He doesn't want me to, but I will defend him with a certain theory I have, and I want you to weigh in on it. Mm-hmm. Which is, if you look through recent history of the most influential musicians we've had, I believe generally they were people who saw the world differently. That's why they were able to create something new. And I think you pay a toll for seeing the world differently.
I agree.
I think it can be painful. It's uncomfortable to be out of step with everyone around you. So you're out of step with everyone around you. You have this unique point of view, and everyone else seems to be on the same page about all these things. And there's a lot of discomfort that comes with that. There's an amazing art that comes out of that. And so I have defended Kanye sometimes going, this guy is inarguably a genius. He really has a unique point of view in life.
Yeah, I think Kanye is my defense for Kanye, and it's interesting that Kanye is so great, but we always have to defend him.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My defense for Kanye is so self-aware, is so sure of himself, is so confident that he makes people who don't have the confidence feel uncomfortable. You know, and he's so...
Yeah, he has conviction.
He has so much conviction that if you don't stand for something, you feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The people that lash out against Kanye are people with no convictions. They're people who stand in the shadows. Like Seth MacFarlane said, like, I'm not the hero. I'm the guy who's in the audience making fun of the hero's shirt.
Yes.
And I think that's how Kanye is always the hero in the story. And Kanye said a lot of things that I disagree with.
Sure.
And he said a lot of things I agree with. The only thing that I push back on Kanye that I will say in public, that I'm like, that one thing, it's one thing he did that I did not agree with, was him showing a slight amount of support for Trump and visiting Trump. That's the only thing.
I didn't even know.
Oh, you didn't know about this?
No.
Yeah, Kanye visited Trump the week that Trump got in the office.
That's so punk rock, though. You have to admit.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so against what's expected.
Yeah, I think that's why he did it. I mean, he dyed his hair blonde, and he showed up with blonde hair. Yeah, and I think he had a plan. I think he had a plan.
As an art installation, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
If you could look at it from 30,000 feet and go like, if this is a fucking art installation, this is next level.
It's a Mandy Kaufman shit.
Chappelle weirdly got in trouble for that. He weirdly said he kind of regretted that SNL monologue a little bit.
Yeah.
I was with him at that moment, by the way, too. I was like, well, fuck it, man. This is what we got. Let's give him a chance.
Yeah, he regretted saying that.
Yeah, and a little while later, I was like,
and Kanye regretted visiting Trump, and he deleted all his Trump tweets.
Okay.
But that's what I think it is. Same with Steve Harvey. I saw Steve Harvey talking about, why is everybody mad at me? Like, motherfucker, like, what are you doing? Like, you can't fuck with Trump. I know you get Miss Universe money with him. You know what I'm saying? But but I think what it is that whether it's Chrisette Michele, who was an artist who went to sing for Trump and the community got mad at her, when you're that level of famous, you have a bubble around you. You're not participating on the Twitter discussions. You're not on Facebook. You're not on the ground with the activists. I have a unique perspective because I'm on the ground with the activists.
Yeah.
My famous friends who are famous like a Kanye or Steve Harvey or something like that, they're not aware of the language that's being spoken on. So when we're on Twitter sharing stories about Trump said black people are lazy, Trump said this, they're not paying attention to that.
Right.
If you're famous in this country for a certain amount of time, you've been in a room with Donald Trump, if you shook in his hand, you've taken a picture with him.
Right.
And that's your extended spirit. You know him from the Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah.
You're not really aware of his housing problem or that his father was in the KKK. That's for the people on Twitter and Facebook. So these celebrities, they're in these bubbles and they think that they are different.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's just being unaware.
Well, you also, I mean, this is the mistake I make. I often think that I understand the other side better than I do, or that I'm more centrist than I maybe am. And I think, I can be the person that actually conveys our point to them. Like I'm in the middle enough that maybe they'll listen to me, and I'm always wrong about that. But
that's an interesting admission, because that right there is the central problem with centrist thought, is that too often when your goal is, I'm an absolutist for free speech and I'm a centrist, you often find yourself unintentionally aligning with people who are using centrism and using free speech for some utter bullshit.
I want to know why, because someone I like about as much as you is Sam Harris. And are you in some kind of Sam Harris war?
I do not like Sam Harris at all.
We talk about him all the time on this podcast. We do. This is great.
And I will not make an apology to him about that I love you, nor will I make an apology to you that I love him. But what is your guys' beef? I'm only aware of it.
It's kind of layered.
Okay.
First off, I'm not an atheist.
Right.
I'm someone who has a belief in God, and my belief in God is strong enough to where I don't call it a belief. I feel like I know God. It's not the God of the white beard in the heavens that's looking on. It's that thing that connects all of living things. The fact that I breathe in Oxygen, I breathe out carbon dioxide. The trees take that in, they create oxygen.
Yeah.
It's that symbiotic between all living things. That to me is God, not the Bible.
Right.
Disclaimer, some of my best friends who are super smart are atheists. In general, I feel like to arrive at atheism, you have to be pretty smart. And you have to have paid attention enough to see the flaws in religion to be able to call it out.
Yeah.
Too often, atheism, and the atheism that I'm talking about is not the old school classic atheism, because I think classic atheism is, I don't believe in God.
Yeah.
I'm not infringing on what you believe.
Yeah.
I just choose not to believe in a myth or a fairy tale.
Yes.
I can understand that, and I agree with that. The problem is that you have a generation of new atheists that are influenced by Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and all these people, the people that Bill Maher loves.
Yeah.
You know, and he's one of them. Who
Do you like Bill Maher?
I like 80% of Bill. I feel like he goes too hard on the Muslims.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's moved into like sort of the white nationalist ideal of atheism, away from where he was when he did Religulous, which was more all encompassing.
Yeah.
I'm going to critique each religion equally.
Yeah.
He's moved to this, no, Islam is really worse than everything else. And that to me is not based on a working knowledge of Islam, but is based on prejudice against brown people. It's the same reason why Sikhs and people who are not Muslims get beat up by Islamophobes because they think they're Muslim because they're wearing a turban.
Yeah.
You know, I think that the rhetoric that Chris Hitchens and sometimes Bill Maher and these people, it adds to that. And these are older, rich white men, you know, and they're not dealing with being profiled. Sam Harris won't get profiled in the airport.
No.
So when Sam Harris writes a blog called In Defense of Profiling, he's defending racism, because what he's saying is that based on stereotypes.
So really quick, was that the trigger?
Well, no, so that wasn't a trigger. I didn't know anything about Sam Harris.
Okay.
I just knew that recently I get attacked by white supremacist groups online. And at first it's like anime stands, and then it's like MMA stands. And then it was there's Majid Nawaz stands, right? Guys who like this Muslim guy, ex-Muslim Majid, who is propped up by white nationalist groups as the anti-Islam guy. Well, look, this guy used to be a radical Islamist, and now he's down with us.
Yeah.
He's propped up by Sam Harris. So these white supremacist trolls, they use Majid because he's a brown person and try to weaponize him against me.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Majid. I read up on him. I'm like, yeah, I don't agree with him either.
Okay.
Majid jumps in and starts trolling me along with these white supremacists. And then and he's getting his money and his backing from Sam Harris.
Well, he was on Bill Maher. He famously argued with Ben Affleck.
Right. I saw that. I saw that video.
Yeah.
Sam Harris, the first tweet he ever sent me, he called me an SJW.
An SJW.
Yes.
What's
an
that?
SJW is a social justice warrior.
Oh, okay.
It's a term that gained popularity on 4chan and Reddit and in white supremacist daily Stormfront, Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire, like these. It's the alt-right term that's meant to disparage people who fight for social justice.
I don't want you to lose your rhythm, but your retention of names is pretty astounding.
Yes.
Have you been having that, Monica?
Yeah.
Where I'm like, God damn it, if
It's
I could
very
hold on to as
impressive.
many names as you can, it's really incredible.
But so SJW, yes, because what you're saying is you're saying that there's something wrong with social justice. The people who use that term, they're quick to back it by saying, I'm not dissing real social justice workers. I'm dissing the regressive left, which is a term made up by Sam Harris.
Yeah.
He made up that term. He's the inventor of that term. So I'm dissing the regressive left that doesn't really do social justice, just is trying to trigger right-wing people. The problem with that is that when someone makes that critique, you ask them to point out their social justice work, and they can never do it. So if you're going to critique me for saying I'm a fake social justice
you better
person,
walk the walk.
you better show me your social justice work. And none of these people could do it. So Sam Harris, in his first tweet to me, called me an SJW and said I was a part of the regressive left. These are alt-right racist terms. Sam Harris has aligned himself with the alt-right. When he interviews Charles Murray,
He would disagree with that.
I know he would, but he's wrong.
Okay.
He's a liar.
Well,
and he's
hold
a
on,
racist.
hold on.
But let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
So Sam Harris, when he writes, when he's calling a black activist an SJW and a part of the regressive left, terms that are employed by Nazis and white supremacists. When he's writing a blog saying in defense of profiling and saying we shouldn't profile the 80-year-old white lady, but we should profile the brown guy. My name is Talib Kweli. I get profiled from being black and have a Muslim name.
Yeah.
You're a white boy named Sam Harris. Until you go through what I go through, don't fucking defend profiling. You can't defend profiling. Even law enforcement agencies saying we don't catch criminals from profiling. When you defend profiling, you're defending stop and frisk. You're defending things that put my life at risk. So when you're calling me regressive left, when you're defending profiling, when you bring on your podcast Charles Murray, the author of the Bell Curve.
Did you listen to that episode by chance?
No, because I don't fuck with Charles Murray.
Right.
Charles Murray is a racist that's using Nazi anti-diversity methods. He's saying that IQ is a correct measure of intelligence, which is not.
Right.
And he's saying that black people naturally have lower IQs. If you give a platform to that guy, I can't fuck with you.
Well, okay, boy, I don't really want to defend Charles Murray, but I listened to him on the Sam Harris thing, and I would say what you're saying differs from what he's saying is we're doing all of this broad testing in IQs, and I now have data. And do I, as a scientist, pretend I don't have that data? Sam was very critical of him, of saying, I understand that point of view, but you must ask yourself at some point, but why? What's the end goal, right? Because I actually don't think Charles Murray is a racist.
Well, the end goal is to blame oppressed people for their own oppression. That's the goal, to say that black people and people of color, it's not our fault. It's just science. It's just biology. Why are you mad at white people? It's just biology. You're naturally not, you have low 80. And when I get attacked on Twitter, it's straight up Nazi accounts. It's not, let's not mince words here.
Yeah.
It's people naming themselves after Paul Nealon. It's people who are saying, we need to build the wall and kick all people of color out the country.
Yeah.
They are the people that are quoting Charles Murray.
Yes.
Charles Murray has been debunked by every scientist of America, Psychology Today, Harvard, Yale, Stanford. All of them are saying this guy's full of shit.
Yeah, I'm not really trying to defend him. I had a much different issue with it, unlike you. I was willing to say that's fine, that might exist. That might happen. But maybe black folks do test lower. They're saying Asian folks test higher.
And that's another Nazi point. The model minority myth. See, what they do is about pitting Asian people against black people for the sake of white supremacy. The first thing that a lot of these white supremacists, all of them have Japanese anime avatars. They always trot that one out. Well, Asian people test higher. Well, those are Asian people whose parents were rich.
You do recognize, though, that quite often good intention material gets weaponized by a group of people that they weren't really trying to service. That happens all the time on the left and right.
Oh, absolutely. But you also have to realize that when it comes to discussing oppression, intention never matters. Results do.
Well, I'm with you. I'm in AA, and we say people aren't judging you by your intention. They're judging you by your actions. Of course, I am in a position to do this because I'm a fucking tall white guy. So let me first acknowledge that. The stakes of this argument aren't nearly as high for me.
It's funny you said tall, because that's another thing that the Nazis say to me as they say I have a low IQ. They say Kweli is short. Clearly, I'm not short. But that becomes a talking point.
Well, I'm saying most presidents have been tall. Not only am I man, not only am I white, I'm also a tall man. Yeah. So like you're naturally assuming I have more leadership qualities than maybe I do.
It's like the Blues Brothers movie when they go to the bar, to Bob's Bunker, and she goes, "Well, you're the tallest. You must be in charge."
Right. So let me just start by saying that I can evaluate this stuff from a very disengaged position because I'm not going to get pulled over because I'm driving a Mercedes in the middle of the night and get asked, what do I do for a living? Right. All that being said, what I was willing to think about, at least being open enough to think about it, like let's just for 1 second say that was true, that those results are true, and that test is even relevant scientifically. Let's just even say that.
It's just hard for me to do that, though, because it's so culturally biased.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So you might be right. That's not even. I'm saying let's just assume for 5 seconds that what Charles Murray actually discovered is a real thing that's empirical and could be peer reviewed and everything. For me, I then went to a place, and this is where I was critical of the discussion with those two, was they are also in the same conversation admitting that intelligence is probably 50% biological nature and 50% nurture. Can you go along with that? Or
I'm not enough of a scientist to speak a wax
again.
on that.
We would have to assume now that this is the case. And so if you're acknowledging that 50% of intelligence is nurture, and that black people are testing one standard deviation lower than white people, then all you have to prove is that the nurture in this country, socioeconomically, so little opportunity, so all these elements. I definitely believe that the environment could be 2 standard deviations lower than what white people are dealing with. To me, if I want to just for 5 seconds say that that's what's happening in these test scores, I at least now have the option of a solution, which is, okay, we need to figure out why in the black community, they're not getting what they need. That, well, what are white kids getting that black kids aren't getting? And now we need to fix that, because my baseline assumption as an anthropologist is there is no intelligence difference, right?
Yeah.
We're all just the same species, and I don't buy that. And so
That's not an assumption.
That's not an assumption. What do you mean?
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
Oh, yes, but from my point of view, that's the truth. Yeah,
Right.
I'm not repelled by some disturbing information like that. I go into the mode of, okay, well, I still circle back to the fact that I don't believe any race, which is even a terrible indicator of our differences, is dumber or smarter. There's another explanation, and that explanation is worth finding so we can fix it.
Yeah, but see, that's a very privileged position to take, because when you say, because I don't have the luxury to take that position, because that's the same science, pseudoscience, that Nazis used to say, let's kill all the Jews.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the same science that KKK says, let's have Jim Crow and let's hang niggas.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't have, I have the historical perspective. In order for that to happen, you have to, one, suspend historical perspective, pretend history never existed, create this imaginary world of if and maybe possibly. And then you also have to assume that Sam Harris and Charles Murray and Jordan Peterson and Richard Spencer and all these people who push that IQ bullshit, that they have black people's best interests in mind. You have to assume that their intention is justice. I can't assume their intention is justice.
Yeah.
I have to now not just assume, but look at the fact that this guy also wrote a blog on profiling and said profiling is okay. I have to look at the fact that all the Nazis come to me and say, you have less intelligence because you're a black man and Charles Murray said so.
Yeah.
I have to look at the fact that they use that to justify exterminating people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's like I
owning folks.
Yeah, and owning people.
Yeah.
When I was 19 years old working at Inkiru Books, the Bell Curve came out. I was working at an African American bookstore when the Bell Curve came out. Our community, I don't know how old Sam Harris is. He's got to be in his 30s, right?
No,
is he
he's
my
at our age. Yeah.
All right, so when I came out, like a lot of these young new Nazi types who were at the Unite Right, they look up to Charles Murray. They use Charles Murray, Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro. They used him as, see, look, these guys wear khakis and ties and they're smart and they're educated.
Well, let me just also say both sides, both atheists and religious folks are also using Einstein quotes. So suffice to say, everyone can make any bit of thing fit their narrative.
Yeah, but it's not, I can't really do the both sides thing.
Okay, that's fine. I do feel compelled to tell you what I think Sam Harris's message is on Islam. And tell me if you can see any truth to this statement, which is the left has it wrong about Islam. The right has it wrong about Muslims.
I disagree with that because
you do,
because every single and I've heard this argument before, because what they say is, I don't have a problem with Muslims, I have a problem with Islam. Nah, every Muslim follows Islam.
There is a difference between ideology and human beings. Nazism is evil. I don't think every German in 1938 was evil.
That's a false equivalence, because every Muslim is Islamic. Every German is not a Nazi. Every Muslim does believe in Islam.
Well, every Nazi was a Nazi.
Every Nazi was a Nazi.
Yes,
So that the equivalent,
the ideology,
the equivalent would be
I would have
ISIS.
to believe in good and evil. Okay.
ISIS is the equivalent to Nazi, not Muslims. People could equate Muslims with Nazi things a lot. If Muslims were like Nazis, there's billions of Muslims on the planet.
Well, I don't equate, but I'm just saying, can you not be critical of an ideology and separate the human beings?
Absolutely. I'm not religious. I'm very critical of religion as well.
Yeah, I am too. And here's what I say. Look, I like taking both sides of all these arguments. If I'm around people who are super Islamic phobic, I will like to take your point of view. And if I'm around you, I want to take this point of view. So just know that this side, I would say, is if you look at Judaism, Judaism's the oldest, right? It is 5,000 years old at this point. And if you look at a significant percentage of the rabbis in Israel are atheists.
Okay.
And what you've seen...
How are you an atheist rabbi?
You believe in all the traditions. You believe in the teachings. You don't actually believe there's a God up there that ordained all this.
Okay.
So that's... I dig that. I think that's cool. Like you've kind of taken what you think are the great teachings of it, and you don't actually fear a man up in the sky or that you're going to be sent to hell, right?
Okay.
So again, on the outside of all three of these religions, I see that Judaism, more than any other one, has left the literal and become hugely metaphorical. It is so metaphorical. I'm friends with so many Jewish folks here that still will celebrate the holidays. They'll do the baby naming, but they don't actually. They've only kept it metaphorical. And then if you look at,
a lot of them are Zionists who believe in an ethno state and are not are not acknowledging the travesties.
But let's just say we're having this conversation pre 1945,
okay?
Because we could get bogged down in that. But let's just say that it is pretty much a fact that Judaism in the Old Testament has largely become now metaphorical. They are the least literal interpreters of their text.
I see. It's hard for me to say. Let's pretend it's pre 1945.
To me, you're bringing something that has nothing to do with the topic I'm on. I'm on a topic of charting religions, how literal they are to their text, and how metaphorical they are.
Well, I think people are individuals. There are Jewish people who are super literal.
We could get bogged down in the exception, or we could get down into the majority.
But where's the data to speak on the majority? Like, if we're going to speak on the majority of people,
well, I'll tell you, the data is that 50% of the rabbis are atheists. That's pretty profound data. And now, if you look
if you're an atheist and you're in Israel and you still support Israeli government policies that are saying they're doing it because we're doing this for Jewish people, can you really claim you're an atheist?
To those people, no. People who think they have a biblical claim on property, I think is a very literal interpretation. So yes, if you're saying I have a biblical right to this property,
a rabbi who's living in Israel is acting on that claim. So if you call yourself a rabbi and you live in Israel, you could say you're an atheist. I would. You'd have to leave Israel and not say you're a rabbi for me to believe you.
For your definition of that,
right?
But whatever. We're again. You have a 5,000-year-old religion that is, and you don't agree with this, is become the least literal of all the religions. Then in the middle, you have Christianity that is 2,000 years old, and some of them are still pretty literal. But largely, I know tons and tons of Christians that are like, yeah, I'm not into hell. I don't believe that you shouldn't lay with a man. I don't blah, blah, blah. It's getting less and less literal. And that's I think that's just a product of time. And then you have the youngest of these made three religions, which is Islam, which is 1,400 years old. And I believe they are still more literal.
But why?
Why are they more literal?
Yeah.
My hypothesis is it's a time thing.
I don't think it's a time thing. I think it's because when you have no resources, the society becomes more literal. When I would say that America, we have the luxury of making anti-gay policy as opposed to cutting gay people's heads off and throwing them off the roof. You know what I'm saying? And the policy, we have an evangelical Christian lobby that for 50 years has been bombing poor brown Muslim people and justifying it by saying, Jesus is coming back to that area. You know what I'm saying? So what's worse, a Muslim terrorist with a rocket bomb or a United States sending a drone?
Here's where I get a little frustrated, though. Sometimes with the this topic of Islam and terrorism and all this stuff, it is pointed out quite often that Christians are just as bad. And to me, this is like when you get
Christians, Jewish people, atheists, Buddhists, everybody.
You get Trump dead to rights on a thing, and his response is, well, Bill Clinton did X. And it's like, well, no, motherfucker, that may be true, but we're talking about you in this moment in time. If I lived during the Crusades, I'd be screaming from the rooftops, this is fucking wrong.
I'm not talking about Crusades. I'm talking about right now.
Okay.
Because we can't divorce all context from it. There's a context of the Muslim world. There's a context of the Middle East and how poor brown people have retreated because of imperialism, because of Western imperialism, because of Christian imperialism. It's to say it's
pursuing oil and
making that argument. Well, Muslims are worse because it's the same argument.
Hold on, worse. Now it's a pejorative. Now we've stopped having an intellectual conversation and we're trying to label somebody good.
But which word would you use instead of worse?
I would say more literal. I would say they still believe in jihad, a good percentage of them. They still believe in fatwas, a good percentage.
But this argument is made to justify. This argument is made for black people where I'm from to say, well, what about black on black crime? Well, why are black people more likely to do this?
And I think that is a cop out.
It's the same for Islam, though. You can't divorce Jim Crow and slavery and what has happened to the black community for a group like the Nation of Islam to come out of it. For you know what I'm saying? For there to be so much crime. You can't divorce what's happened. So you can't divorce what's happened from the region. Like, these people are bombed all the time.
Yes.
Yes.
So I can start with going, we are paying the bill. We backed a totalitarian regime in Iran so that we could secure our oil interests there.
Right, we do it
Then they were
all over the world.
overthrown by the Ayatollah. Then the rest of the region gets so scared that their population is going to overthrow their monarchies.
Right.
So then you have Wahhabis or Wahhabism. Yeah, in Saudi Arabia, all of a sudden get embraced by that regime so to prevent that. So yes, you're looking at dominoes that started with us protecting oil. So all that is true. And unfortunately, I find that these arguments none of them are willing to blend what's true on both sides. So you're saying a ton of true stuff. There's a ton of geopolitical issues that are underpinning all this.
And we have to add that 1.2 billion Muslims, out of 1.2 billion, the fraction of people who are radical Islamists, the problem is being radical. The problem is not Islam.
Yes.
The problem is radicalism. So the vast majority of Muslims in the world are not radical. The vast majority of Muslims in the world add to the world in great ways. So if we're gonna,
that's true.
If we're going to speak in generalities,
but if a significant percentage of people have an agenda, I don't believe in this binary opposition that you're either pro or anti-Islam to admit that there's Islamists in London.
I'm against Islam. I'm against radical Islam. Okay. And I stand up against radical Islam the same way I stand up against radical Christianity. The only difference is that the radical Christians are rich white men who wear suits and drop bombs from the sky.
It's normalized. Yes.
Right. And it's systemic.
Yes.
The radical Islams people have to throw rocks. Yes. And they have to do suicide bombs.
Yeah.
I don't say it's better or worse, but because of that, I can't give credence to the argument that Islam is more literal when you have George Bush saying, God told me I have to get rid of Saddam Hussein. And then he's using all the weight of United States government, all the weight, his connection with Israel, all the weight of all the weight in that region to enact this Christian philosophy that the default is Christianity. The default is whiteness.
Yes. And I guess what my argument is you don't have to embrace one thing to be critical of the other. So to me, it's like,
absolutely,
you're dead right. That is dead right. And that is not acceptable. And we should fight against that. George Bush should not be making any decisions based on God or his interpretation of God.
Him being born again Christian.
Yes. That should not be happening, especially in a country that is by design separated church and state.
Right. Even though it says God we trust, honor money.
Yes.
And you can't be a president unless you're Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to happen in this country anytime soon.
Yeah, my thing as an atheist is we'll have a transgender.
That would be lovely. Atheist president.
No, what I'm telling you is that we will have a transgender president before we'll have an atheist president.
Maybe.
I think that is the one thing people are not going to accept.
Even just Christian, though. It would be very hard to elect anyone anytime soon.
Donald Trump had to pretend he was a Christian in order to get elected.
Yeah.
Yes. Not so convincingly.
Yeah.
But anyways, all I would say
enough,
is
though.
I would urge you, as much as you're absolutely right that so many of the things that Sam Harris says do end up getting weaponized by the right, I do believe he is in the middle of both those things. And he is very critical of all ideologies that he thinks entitles people from a sovereign entity in the sky.
And that's a privileged position to be in, because if you're in the middle of the people who are marching in Charlottesville and saying Charles Murray is right about black people, and the people who are saying, hey, please don't kill us, you've chosen a side. You can't be in the middle of people who are saying black people have low IQs and black people saying, no, we don't. You can't be in the middle of that. You got to choose a side at some point. And that's where I come back to where the activism community is, that, there in the activism community, there's a lot of discord. There's a lot of people who are unfair. There's a lot of people who ostracize and kick people out for small infractions. Obviously, that's all true. Yeah. There's criticisms that can be made about the left. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't consider myself a liberal. Yeah. I don't consider myself a Democrat. I don't consider myself a progressive, only because once I put that label on me, I now have to be responsible for things people say.
Also you're expected to then adopt the entire lock sale version of the platform, which you have no option anymore to evaluate things as they come up.
Absolutely. But the fact is, when you talk about the left and the right, not just in the country, but in the world, in the history of the world, there's always been conservatives and people who are right wing that have supported genocide, slavery. I mean, across the board. Sure. So when you say I'm in the middle between the left and the right, it's hard for me to take you seriously. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean be left. You should also like I read a lot of blogs. I read Slate. I read Salon. I read Huffington Post. But I read them with a grain of salt, because I realize when I read these things, they're going to have a left bias, and they're going to say things that prompt up their point.
They're going to leave out information.
They might leave out
double
information.
down on other information.
They might do that. Absolutely, they might do that. I tend to trust things like the New York Times and the Washington Post a lot more than Huffington Post or Slate or Salon.
Sure.
I'll read these things because they say things I agree with, but I read them like, okay, that argument is based on hyperbole. And people like Sam Harris, who are intelligent enough to use words in a fancy way, they can slice those hyperbolic arguments up, and which is why I think people like them. But at the end of the day, it's not to me about who weaponizes Sam Harris' words. It's the fact that this guy wrote a blog defending profiling. There's no defense for profiling. There's no defense for using as a social justice warrior when you don't do any fucking social justice work. None.
Yeah.
None. You don't. There's no social.
Well, in
justice.
his mind, I would imagine he does feel like he's doing social.
Well, in his
justice work.
mind, but can it be quantified?
Well, yeah, he's selling books. He's changing minds.
Selling books is
He-
capitalism.
No,
Yeah.
that's too narrow.
I just wanted to say I love Sam Harris, but I do think the problem with his argument on this is it's not solution based. By saying they're more literal, he's not saying so we should add more education, we should add more money, and like that. Those are the things that change
Well,
those types of radical ideologies.
And one of my favorite episodes, by the way, you know, I like him too. He opens himself up to criticism. So he would have you on and he'd argue with you. And that people don't, people with shitty ideas don't open themselves up to that. So that's just one thing you'd have to respect about the dude, regardless. He has longtime adversaries on. So
I disagree with that too because his intention is not
look
justice.
Take this olive branch, motherfucker. I've seen your face. But he had Fareed on. Fareed, what's his name? Fareed
Zakaria?
Yeah, which was great. It was great because they just both have two philosophical differences, and they both respect each other. And Fareed's very well spoken, and
I like Fareed.
He's every bit as good as Sam Harris at having a debate or a conversation.
That's why I can't be a politician or be a news anchor though. Like Fareed has to be respectable. Fareed has
not
to,
anymore though, because he left that position.
But even so, what he's built, he's built up this respectability. I'm a fucking rapper. I get to say fuck Sam Harris. Fuck his
and I'm a
platform.
comedian,
right? And so there's people who I would like to see Roland Martin and Mark Lamont Hill. I would love to see those guys go on Sam Harris. And those guys they talk heads on TV. They have to wear a suit and they have to be respectable.
Yeah.
And they have to have those debates.
Yeah.
Like hate don't deserve a debate from me. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
But Fareed's position was that he does agree that moderate Muslims have to lead some.
Is Fareed Muslim?
Yes, he grew
up Muslim.
He grew up
He's not
Muslim.
practicing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. But he grew up a Muslim, so it gives to
Yes.
me. It gives it's like I grew up Christian, so I get to criticize Christianity because I grew up Christian.
Yes.
Fareed grew up as a brown Muslim man, so for Fareed to say moderate Muslims need to. Yes.
Yeah.
For someone who's a white boy who never grew up Muslim, you don't got no dog in this fight. You don't get to decide what moderate Muslims should do. That's a very entitled, arrogant thing to say.
We disagree on that as well because that is basically the party line with intersectionality. That if you're not in that group, you have no opinion on that, and I simply don't agree with it. I think certainly there's a lot of things I'm going to have blind spots to. I'm not going to understand, but to actually state that someone with a brain who might be intelligent, who can conduct experiments, who can do all this stuff, can't add to one of those things. I think is ridiculous.
You can add, but just as you're allowed to add, I'm allowed to say, well, what are your credentials? What is your experience?
I might be a scientist who's white, non-Jewish, studying Tay-Sachs disease, which plagues a recessive gene that plagues Jewish folks. My opinion's fucking valid.
That's right, but your opinion's valid because of your credentials. So if you're going to add to the discussion, I'm going to need to see those damn credentials. So if you're going to add to a discussion on Islam, you better have told me, you better have proven to me that you have lived this Islamic experience and you read the Quran and you know it.
But let's go back to Fareed and Sam arguing, and I'm going to be paraphrasing for both of them, and I'll probably fuck it up on both sides. But Fareed's basically saying, I do think there has to be an evolution led by moderate Muslims to help confront this issue. Because it is a sizable hunk of people who are extremists by our definition of extremists.
Right.
And so
moderate Muslims do that in large quantities.
Yes. And basically both of them want the same thing. Now, Sam is, again, he disagreed with me when I brought this up, but I thought he had a very Kantian view of it, which is the first thing I have to do, we have to expose certain scriptures as being erroneous, bad, cancerous, blah, blah, blah.
For Islam and not for everybody else?
Yes, he'd say for everyone else, but they were specifically talking about Islam.
That's where it loses me because
well, I'm gonna pay you off.
Okay,
okay. I'm gonna scratch your back. Fareed says that is not the way you enact this change.
Mm-hmm.
We both agree on the change that we think should happen. What I disagree with you, Sam, on is how you enact that change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you go into the people who believe in it and you let them lead this, right? And you don't start by pointing out what's so flawed about their ideology. Right. And so what is on the surface a very hot button topic that is scary to have, if you start refining both of their points of view, they really are two different philosophical points of view more than they are any kind of geopolitical, racial, blah, 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 blah. Is just that Sam Harris has a proclivity, a perversion for the truth. He can't get beyond that, right? And Fareed has a utilitarian long view of this where we can ignore the falsehoods and come in the back door.
Which truth, though?
That we shouldn't kill gay people, or that we should not have holy wars, or that we should, I could list any number of things we'd all agree on are probably bad parts of the scripture. Again, that are also terrible parts of the fucking Old Testament. The fact that God would make you kill your son to prove you love him is fucking preposterous. Now, Sam would like to start by having them get rid of that part of the text and say, you guys are fucking nuts if you believe this, because no one should ever kill their son to prove that they love God. But then Fareed was taking another position, which was that's not how we're going to lead people away from that aspect of the text.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to the fact that the default is Christianity. The default is whiteness. We live in a world that's, even though there's more Muslims than any other people, there's more brown people. We live in a world that Christianity is normalized.
We had the cargo when we were arriving. When soldiers were arriving in Papua New Guinea, they were just landing on the beach and they had never seen white people. And they had ships in boxes, and they called it cargo. Like they were, so how did your God give you all this cargo? And so the power of that cargo infected the world.
I used to sell Sam Harris books at my website.
Oh, really?
Before I realized that he's aligned with this.
Well, let's just say they're aligned with him. He might not be aligned with them.
Nah, because he's making up terms that they're using, and he's retweeting them, and he's having them on his show, and he's aligned. He's on their websites. He's on Daily Wire. He's on Daily Caller. He's aligned with them. He's aligned with them.
I think they're aligned with him, but we can agree to.
Okay,
I still love you, Talib Kweli.
Hey, man, it's all love. It's all love. But when you guys and Bill Maher, I think is a better example. I'm aligned with Bill Maher on several issues. I am not aligned with him on him agreeing with Sam Harris. Him going. He's become a dogmatic atheist. He people like him, it's like they use bully tactics to say what's wrong.
Well, I'm an atheist, and my complaint about their approach was, I think you're wasting your time, your energy, and your spirit to try to convince people there's no God. It doesn't matter if people believe in God. They should be encouraged to believe in God, and it's not. It's such a waste of time. I do think it's worth trying to destroy these patriarchal, systematic, hierarchical religions that we've all been infected with. And we've been fucking stuck with it. We've been here for 200,000 years as a species, and for the last 5,000 years, our brain's been hijacked by a lot of this shit.
But check this out: we're sitting here in this space, and there's a beautiful space. Attic, but we're in Hollywood. Yeah, we're both men of means. We both lived incredibly.
We're both handsome.
Yeah, we're both nice looking guys.
Yeah.
We live an incredibly privileged life.
Absolutely,
we've been educated. My parents are educated. You're educated in anthropology. That's an incredible amount of privilege for us to sit and have these lofty debates about atheism and religion. We're very privileged to have these debates.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, you have people who are growing up in very poor, destitute situations.
Absolutely. Where if, by the way, there isn't a heaven, this whole thing is just a torture.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I think the more miserable your
heaven
situation
and hell is right here on earth.
It gets a lot more appealing when you think I will be relieved of this suffering at one point.
Right. So we're privileged to have these lofty academic debates when the debate becomes, well, Muslim take it more literal, so therefore, because of that logic, I come to the conclusion that anyone who looks like a Muslim, I should profile.
Oh, I won't join you there. And I think there's a big sect of people that are being ignored that don't join them there. That's where I think the right.
But Sam Harris is hanging his hat on that. And so if we defend Sam Harris, we have to defend the thing he's become famous for, which is saying profiling is acceptable.
Well, can I just tell you this? You told me that, and I believe you. I did not know that about him. I don't think that is what he's known for.
From people like me,
but
that's exactly
you
what
have to acknowledge you're good at doing this, acknowledging this. You're in a silo. I witness it on Twitter.
Yeah.
People on the very far right love to fuck with you. So I do think you're getting an outweighted view of what is happening, as I am getting an outweighed. But just as someone on the outside of your life looking in, I would have to imagine if I'm you, I would probably overestimate the amount of crazy. Yes.
I
and you're
get
getting
that.
it, and it's a high percentage that
high volume
it
of
could
fringe.
affect what you think your overall assessment.
But let's move that out and focus on he defended profiling.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're correct about that. Yeah. But the reason why they're able to point to guys like Sam Harris and guys like Charles Murray is because the people in the middle, the moderates, the progressives, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are the ones uplifting these people. It's like Dr. King spoke about this often.
I'm so fucking guilty of this. He says, beware of the middle class liberal who will tell you the time frame by which you should expect change.
Right.
Something like that,
And
right?
it's in the letter to Birmingham jail
Yeah.
because he was running into people. He's seeing himself as a peaceful. He calls it a negative peace versus a positive peace. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're as a negative peace is saying you don't really want peace. You just want my silence. You know what I'm saying? And it's like too often people who have not studied the subject matter wax philosophically on it too often. Like people who don't have the experience. That's why like I, as someone who I used to be, I was partial to 5% Nation, which is like an offshoot of Muslims in New York City that had great influence on hip hop. I'm not down with that. I'm not down with the Nation of Islam. I'm not religious at all.
Yeah.
But I still have Yasin Bey is a Muslim. He's a good friend of mine. Dave Chappelle is Muslim. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got Muslims in my life. And so it's like when someone is they're not realizing the same way that Trump doesn't realize the danger that he's putting Latino people in when he says bad hombres. He don't, you know what I'm saying? And it's what we're speaking on is intention versus result. I don't think Sam Harris is intentionally a racist. I don't think this is his intention to be a racist. He's probably a nice fucking guy. It's the result of what's happening. It's what's happening is like there's no.
I'm going to lighten the mood. Fun fact: you know his mother created Golden Girls.
See, that's even another level of privilege. You're adding all these levels of privilege. Like, I love Golden Girls. Now I gotta watch it with a grain of salt and shit.
I appreciate you so much. You're so fun to talk to. And I think you just point out something that people really need to be reminded of, which is like, you don't have to be all in or all out on anything. I love you. I love your voice. I don't agree with you on everything, but I can focus on the thing I love about you, and I can be open to the things. And you've certainly broadened my horizon on things. You've opened my eyes to things, and we can all do this. We can. You know.
And let me say this: I can have this conversation with you because I know your pedigree. I look at your work. I'm aware of your work. I've seen things that you say on Twitter. You show solidarity with certain movements. I know this about you. So yeah, there's several things that you've said that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
But because we're in the flesh and because there's a mutual respect going in, that makes the conversation better. When you're on social media and you're dealing with strangers, there's no mutual respect. And a lot of these people are anonymous. So I think that's what happens on social media is that, and I will be the first to say that I play defense a lot because if someone's coming to me anonymously, they've never shown me any love, never shown me any respect. The first thing they say is, you're a cuck and you're a SJW and Sam Harris is right. I'm going to be like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Off top. So it's like, it's about understanding that respect is not, you're not entitled to my respect.
Yes.
You've earned it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And because you've earned my respect, I could debate you. John Henrik Clarke is a famous African-American scholar. He said, I debate my equals. Everybody else gets taught.
I think you're this way too. I'm not arrogant enough to think that my opinion is the only one required in this country to run it correctly. So it's like, I think you need me. I think we need you. I think we need all these things. I don't think that there is one, as we said, we have opposing goals. We want to be liberal and we want to be equal. So just knowing that right out of the gates is we need the side that's arguing for liberty. We need the side that's arguing for equality. So, we're all needed in this, which is great. The last thing I want to ask you is, because I often argue with people on Twitter too.
I noticed.
Yeah. Not as much as you. Oh my God. This is worse thing too is when I came to see you the first time in Hollywood, one of your Twitter wars actually showed up in the flesh.
Yeah. And
we were out in front of this.
See, that's why you went outside with me. And
I was right next to you.
And you was ready to thump if it came to it.
Absolutely.
Which is why there's that mutual respect there.
Do you ever worry or do you ever pause and go, I need to do this work. and we do need you to do this work. And I'm so grateful you do. But it is taking a toll on my overall, because at least I don't know, I can't speak for you, but when I get in that zone where I'm on the offense and I'm thinking of barbs and I'm looking up shit on Twitter and I'm going to post a link, right? I get into a zone that I know is probably not great for me. Like there's an adrenal gland dump. There's all this
endorphins.
activation. Yeah, there's all this fight or flight activation. Like I want to kill. And then sometimes I go, that's just not the best space for me to live in. Do I need to pull back from this? And so are you trying to balance? You have a voice. You're trying to use it for good. I respect that a ton. And are you affecting your life in a negative way by engaging in it so much?
Every once in a while, there's a moment that it becomes stressful. It's not often, but like I had a guy threatening my fans with saying he's going to shoot all my fans with A&R 15. He was an actual lawyer in Texas and we had to find his address. So there's certain moments like that become stressful. But for the most part, people of color and oppressed people are so conditioned to dealing with this in our actual lives that the Twitter thing for me becomes empowering. Yeah. When people often like, sometimes I get the criticism, why are you so angry? Why are you so mad? Like I'm having the time of my life. Yeah. I'm literally having a ball.
Oh, that's good. I'm engaged in one of those things. I believe I've put it down. Now I'm on the couch playing with my children, which I should do. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about I think I just delivered the knockout punch, but I'm curious, is this guy actually going to have something to say to that? Because I just I fucking forwarded him a Smithsonian article proving him wrong. But the back of my mind is wandering if there's going to be another thing. And I'm now kind of composing my response to that. And I go, Jesus Christ, I'm not present with my kids right now because I'm having still in my head.
That's bad. And none of us should be like that.
Yeah.
But I think
so that it doesn't affect you that way.
Well, my kids are grown at this point. So now they're reading my Twitter too.
Will you play with my kids? Have time.
Yes, definitely. But I think that the key to that is understanding that to me, it's never about the argument. If you're arguing with a guy and you post a Smithsonian link and he comes back and says, well, you're just a Hillary Clinton fan or something, whatever.
Yeah. It's deflection. Never on topic, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
What you have to realize is you're not arguing with that person. You're using that person as a tool to expose how racists think and to provide information. Yeah. There's someone following you who never saw that Smithsonian link. Yeah. Who's going to click on that link? They become a tool. Like my thing is, I'll link them to a book I'm selling at my bookstore. Yeah. So when I do that, I get my assistant calling me like, "Yo, what are you saying on Twitter? Because we just sold 10 books."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So I always look at it like I'm not speaking to them; I'm speaking through them.
Okay, but then in the second level, there's that. There's me not being present in the adrenal dump. But then second to all that is I go, man. I passed 10 people that said beautiful things to me that took the time to write something supportive and beautiful. And I passed those 10 people and I gave this piece of shit all this attention. And then that really weighs on me.
Okay. That's how I deal with that. I scroll through my thing and I see something. Because you want to be present in the moment if you're having a debate or you're trying to make your point. Somebody might be like, I loved you in Chips. Yeah. And then you're like, whatever. I'm trying to make my point now.
Thanks, but I'm fighting with John from Oklahoma.
And it's more important because I'm fighting racism. What I do in that situation is I like every single nice comment. Yeah. And I go and once I made my point, I then go back and I retweet and show love to everybody. And I challenge people because people look at Twitter like they look at car crashes. They'd be like, why are you always arguing? And like, it might look like that to you. Yeah. But and I've done this, I've done the math. I've taken a sample size of 50 of my tweets because I want to make sure I'm not just being negative. I've taken a sample size and say, well, how many of these tweets are me talking to a fan or promoting music or arguing? And to the outside person, if I get bogged down in an argument, it could be like 2 days of mostly negative tweets, but then the next 2 days will be all me retweeting positive things about the show. And I will say that there's a conscious effort to be made because it's seductive to get caught up in just the negative, like looking at a car crash. I have to consciously save the nice tweets, make sure I engage with them. And I do that on purpose so that I don't get in that space where I'm feeling like I'm ignoring people.
Yeah. I like you so much. I'm really grateful you came by.
I like you too, man.
You're in town for such a short period and you graced us and you invited me to your show and I loved it and it was great. And
you're invited to any show.
Okay, good.
You can't bring Sam Harris with your plus.
I won't. Where do people go to find out where you're playing?
TalibKweli.com has all the information. You can join the Kweli Club. You can become a member. And I return most of the emails. We have a whole community there. I sell books. I sell T-shirts. I sell my music. There's free mixtapes, and it's just my hub.
Yeah. And look, I do want to make this point really loud and clear so you hear me. Whether I agree with you or not, I see quite obviously you're a human being that volunteers a ton of your free time that you could be getting a massage to helping people. And whether I think it's the exact way I would do it or not, that is undeniable, and it's really admirable. And I wish I was.
I appreciate that. I canceled my massage to come here and do this podcast.
I'm gonna rub you down.
Oh wow.
Monica's got the oils, and I'm gonna get them
Meet you
knots
in the
out.
bathroom with no door.
All right, man. Love you.
Thank
Come
you.
back
Love you
again.
too, Dax.
Stay tuned if you'd like to hear my good friend and producer Monica Padman point out the many errors in the podcast you just heard. I bet you're going to dig into this fact check like a big old juicy T-bone steak.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is a doozy
This is a doozy.
of an episode.
Uh-huh.
We'll
You might need to
start
take a little
slow.
5-minute nap after that portion and then resume here with the fact check.
But you shouldn't.
Okay, don't take a nap.
Don't take a nap.
Yeah,
Don't take a
yeah.
nap because you probably won't pick it back
Especially if it's
up.
like 8 p.m. Because if you take a nap at 8 p.m., you're probably not going to be able to sleep.
I took a nap at 7 o'clock yesterday.
What a
Well, only for 20 minutes. I had to because I knew I was going to be up late. And I was so tired.
Yeah, last night when you left, you seemed to be at tiredest point, I've observed.
And then I was up till 1:30.
Mm-hmm.
So the nap was necessary.
Yeah. Well, in hindsight, it was probably good that you took that nap. I guess that's the conclusion.
I like naps.
Yeah.
Do you think naps could sponsor us?
This episode is also brought to you in part by Naps. Monica, boy, I took the greatest nap yesterday. I wasn't even expecting it. I was driving my car.
Oh.
And I just went down for 15 minutes.
That sounds
I woke up in
lovely.
a gully.
Sounds relaxing. Okay, so you mentioned Cribs on MTV.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any young listeners who don't know about Cribs, it was a fantastic show on MTV.
It was.
I loved it.
It was very voyeuristic. You got to see how
Yes.
these people you looked up to live their fancy lives.
That's right. It was a homes tour of different celebrities.
Let me just throw a shout out to Michael Rosenbaum. He did an episode of Cribs, and it's I think it's tied for the funniest episode I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, he had like all little pranks planned and stuff. Like he had people sleeping in beds when you know, it was great.
Oh,
It
that's
was great. Yeah,
great.
Yeah. If you're going to go to that archive, make sure you check in on Rosenbaum's.
And because you said you thought it was Moby, whose episode had books.
Yeah, I made a
And
big point about that.
It was Moby.
Oh, good.
In 2001, he said, I haven't seen MTV Cribs yet, but then someone who works at MTV told me a dirty secret about me, vis-a-vis the show. And the dirty little secret is that I'm the only person who's been profiled on Cribs who had books in their apartment. I was asking someone on MTV, so what sort of books do the other people whom you profiled had in their homes? To which I was given the answer that they've done Cribs profiles on 30 or so people, and none have had any
Oh,
books.
jeez Louise. I guess what you could glean from that is throw those books right in the trash if you want to end
If you
up
want-
rich and famous.
if you want to be successful.
Yeah. Get rid of all literature.
You also mentioned an artist who makes statues out of books, and I was looking, and there's a lot of
there
art. There's a lot of art. If you're looking for an installation of books, you can find them.
Oh,
There's probably one that's
That
super
makes
famous,
sense.
but I couldn't find
yeah.
it.
Should have called my agent. He has one.
Oh,
It's really cool.
if I had known that, I would have emailed your agent.
Yeah,
Yes.
fact check on fact check next time.
All
next
right.
week.
Okay.
Or you know what? Just put it in the Joel McHale fact check.
Oh, actually, it already is.
Oh,
there.
that's where it was.
It's there.
Okay.
It's there, yeah.
I thought we had that conversation. Yeah, it was definitely in there. That episode.
If you're interested, you can go back and listen to the Joel McHale fact check. Oh, you said there's some entrepreneur who is suggesting that kids drop out of college, and it's Peter Thiel.
Peter.
How do you
Peter
pronounce
Thiel?
it? Is it Thiel or Teal?
I have to imagine that H is silent. Wouldn't
That's
you?
what my
Gut tells you.
yes, and it's embarrassing because he's incredibly famous and successful, so we should know. The Thiel Fellowship is a philanthropic creation of billionaire PayPal founder Peter Thiel that grants $100,000 to 20 people under the age of 20 on the condition that they stop out of school for 2 years and pursue a business venture instead.
Mm.
So he is definitely encouraging that.
Wow, you know, I just as you say that, I get this pang of fear, and I realize how much I've bought into this paradigm that like you have to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether you do or not, who knows? But I can recognize that like it actually elicits fear in me to tell someone to drop out. Does it do the same to you? Like, Boy, that's scary advice.
Weirdly, because I loved college so much, it doesn't scare me to say that.
Oh, really?
And I think maybe it's because my brother is very smart and does not like school.
Right. And you think maybe he should just drop out.
Well, no. At this point, he's almost done with school and he's doing great. But he could have potentially benefited from not going immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably would have developed some skill that would have been important and great and could have led to who knows what. And it might have been more beneficial than him sort of like trudging through school.
Sure, as just the next thing he's supposed to do.
Yes.
Now, I took 1.5 years off in between high school and college. But again, his messaging is not just take a year off or take 2 years off. It's drop the fuck out.
Well, stop school for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
he is kind of saying like, just take a little break and try to do this other thing, which also makes sense to me because I do in general think we're doing this all completely wrong. And now is when I want to be in school. Because now I'm interested in learning and I want to know everything. And back then I just wanted to get an A.
Yeah, you're kind of, as you age, you feel the gravitational pull of different topics that just, you just develop this crazy interest in.
Yeah.
That you don't really, I don't know. I think it's rare to have out of high school.
I'm going to try to go back to school and not do any work and just listen.
We just talked about this the other day. That's my retirement plan is just to sit in on audit classes and not do any work.
You bring
This episode is also brought to you by my iced green tea.
A lot of ads in this episode.
So addy.
You bring up the statistic about how much money makes people happy. What's the threshold? You said 175,000 was the number that Malcolm Gladwell cited in his book. And that book is David and Goliath. And the actual figure he cites is 75,000.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And then does it then plateau for a while till you get to 175 or something?
Well, it says Malcolm Gladwell's figure about how the slope of money buying happiness is the greatest around the 75,000 mark. And then money is able to buy happiness at a much, much slower and slower pace after that.
Yeah, and then there is a point where it actually starts dropping off as you get mega rich.
Yeah.
You'll be experiencing that shortly, I think.
Can't wait.
I can't wait to get unhappy from having too much money.
I cannot wait.
I think we all
see. This is the problem with that. That's most people's reaction, right? Is when they hear that, like, "Oh, cool, must be nice to like have so much money you're unhappy."
Sure.
But it's
you also
real.
go like, I would be the exception. Sure, that's the trend or that's the curve, but I would be an outlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he said 75,000 is just enough to live a comfortable lifestyle, but not so much that children never learn the true value of money. So that's interesting. It also obviously is dependent on your location.
What city you live in. Yeah,
Correct.
Manhattan.
75,000 in Los Angeles, I would say probably not.
Yeah, probably
higher than that.
Yeah. And then in Manhattan, it's probably about $9 million just to meet your needs.
Okay, code switching is brought up. And if you're interested in code switching, you can listen to Joy Bryant's episode. It is discussed there.
Very informative.
And I think we also discussed it in the fact check potentially.
We did.
Okay, then you can check it out.
Check it out.
We mentioned Dave Chappelle a few times in this episode, and specifically his latest special on Netflix where he talks about stovetop stuffing. And it's so funny. And that special is called Equanimity and the Bird Revelation.
Equanimity and the Bird Revelation?
Yes. Which, because it's a 2-part, it's two. It's like two melded into one. Do you know what equanimity means? 2 for the price
of none. I mean, I think I do, but maybe I don't.
I didn't. I had to look it up.
Equanimity.
I had to clear it.
You had to clear that word?
I did.
Equanimity. I just feel like that's benevolence and with respect.
Close. Mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation.
Level-headedness. Yeah.
So we learned a new word today.
Yeah. Monica Loves Words. Look for the spin-off podcast of Monica Loves Words, and you just list for 90
just
minutes.
read the dictionary.
You just list words. You've highlighted words in the dictionary.
My
You just
favorite ones.
Go through them.
Yeah.
If you have insomnia, it's going to be your dream podcast.
Oh my God. What if I really did that?
Equanimity. Origin. Latin.
Listen, this is potentially $1 million idea because I would love to go to sleep to someone increasing my vocabulary.
Oh, it'd be great. But what if we really embrace this Malcolm Gladwell number of $75,000 and people started going, now this is a $75,000 idea.
That's funny. Okay. Here we go.
All right.
We're getting into some a portion of this that makes me a little bummed.
Okay.
Because it has to do with the love of my life.
Oh, okay. Oh, Matt Damon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Talib mentions the Project Greenlight scandal.
Yeah, I had never heard of it.
I had heard of it.
As his personal historian.
Correct. Yeah. So what happened is during Project Greenlight, which is a show where they made him and Ben Affleck and a group of filmmakers like come together and greenlight a movie for people. It's a good show. And he was in a conversation with a producer from Dear White People, Effie Brown, who's African American. So what happened is they were deciding between two people. Mm-hmm. And she wanted one person.
Two candidates.
Of a diverse background. And I think he was in the other camp a little bit. He just liked the other person more. Or with their work more. And he argued that diversity was best addressed, quote, in the casting of the film, not in the casting of the show, unquote. So he got a lot of
meaning
flack
casting of the crew
behind the scenes.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so he got a lot of flack for that. And he made a very public, nice apology. I think he also went on Ellen and apologized, which is, people make mistakes. It's all you can do. And
what do they call them? Teachable moments?
Yeah.
He's been quick to adopt these teachable moments.
Yeah.
He's done it with grace. I would be more defensive because I'd be so fearful everyone thought I was a racist that I would panic and I would, I'd go too hard in the other direction. Maybe.
Yeah, I think he's handled it really well. And good thing he's still my boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
And then there was another question about what he had said at the beginning of the Weinstein debacle that kind of threw him as well. And because Talib said that he started by saying, I haven't been paying attention to what's going on or what's been said.
Right.
And I tried to find it last night. I have seen it before. I definitely have watched that. But I was hard for me to find. I wonder if a lot of it's been taken down. And then a lot of the stuff, the transcripts were all on Reddit, and it was just people just chatting about it. So I'm not going to speak to exactly what he said in that.
You're going to do what he did. Say, I'm not, I'm not an expert on it. Yeah.
I am.
You should use his exact
But
sentence.
I'm not going to defend what he said.
No.
I'm just going to say I don't know. And I don't.
Yeah. But what was his sentence that Talib said he said?
Talib said that he started the conversation by saying, I haven't been paying attention to what's been said.
Right. So I think that's what your conclusion should be.
That I haven't been paying attention. Also, the truth is he just was saying that to lessen whatever the blow was of what was about to come. He, of course, has been paying attention. Nobody was not paying attention. And especially if you know the person, you're going to know what's going on.
That was Kweli's point. But I do think my point was relevant as well, which is he didn't leave his house with a prepared statement.
No.
He doesn't ever want to talk about this because why would he? But he's somewhere and he's being asked and he has to talk. He has to start moving his mouth.
Exactly.
And that's just dangerous for any human being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I know. I think he was put in a tough
Yeah,
tough spot.
he's being asked to either condemn him, and even when he does it, he's got to do it in the right way. It's just very dicey.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, and the Matt Damon samurai movie is The Great Wall.
Okay, great.
And I wish you guys hadn't made fun of his ponytail.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I won't do it again.
Okay, thank you. You talked about the Jon Stewart anecdote of the boys club and which I love that story, and I listened to it on Stern yesterday. It wasn't Slate magazine. It was Jezebel.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a while ago. It was in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I thought that was really introspective to note what he was doing.
He really has a gift for that.
Okay. You a few times mention a Kantian view.
Mm-hmm.
And just in case people don't know what that means,
Mm-hmm.
Kantian philosophy is that
The means justify the end.
Yes, because in Kantian theory, humans have individual worth.
Okay.
Each human has inherent worth. So because of that, you can't treat humans as a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the value lies within each individual human.
Yeah, because the super conventional philosophical argument is like a guy in a foxhole and a grenade gets thrown in it, and you can push one guy down and save 8 people, or all 8 of you will die. And then the utilitarian view is that it's worth pushing that guy down because the ends justify the means, whereas Kant goes, no, whatever the outcome is an acceptable moral outcome if your action was true. Yeah.
And that's because that individual person's death would be equal to all of the people's deaths. Yeah, because in utilitarianism, as you just said, you may use whatever means necessary to achieve maximum happiness.
The desired.
Exactly.
By the way, I should also note that, and I think maybe I said it, but Sam very much does not consider himself a Kantian. Yeah.
Okay, Talib brings up a spin-off show from the Cosby.
Or a different world.
Different World
Yeah.
is the spin-off, but I couldn't, Theo was only in 2 episodes.
It was really Lisa. It started as Lisa Bonet's spinoff.
Exactly.
But then weirdly, she left that as well. She left the Cosby Show, and then I think she left her spinoff, I think.
Yeah. That's why I was confused because I knew it was A Different World was the Cosby Show spinoff, but then I couldn't remember that Theo was a teacher in that. And then when I was looking up, he's only in 2 episodes.
Right.
So anyway, that's probably the spinoff that he's talking about. I mean, it has to be, I guess. The Chris Rock joke about the dentist. I think I have it written here, but I think people should just go find it and have him
Walk you through the joke.
Yeah.
Oh, this is about the neighbor.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the one I brought up.
The dentist, exactly.
Yeah. It's just the average dentist. Is the quote just laden with N-bombs or something that you don't want to read it? Or you just think you won't be able to deliver
exactly.
it? Okay,
I just don't think it's just not going to do it justice if I read it. I mean, I could.
Well, read it.
Okay. So it's in the 2008 HBO Kill the Messenger special. He says, in my neighborhood, there are 4 black people. Hundreds of houses, 4 black people. Who are these black people? Well, there's me, Mary J. Blige, Jay-Z, and Eddie Murphy.
It's already an amazing.
Only black people in the whole neighborhood. So let's break it down. Me, I'm a decent comedian. Mary J. Blige, one of the greatest R&B singers to ever walk the earth. Jay-Z, one of the greatest rappers to ever live. Eddie Murphy, one of the funniest actors to ever do it. Do you know what the white man who lives next door to me does for a living? He's a fucking dentist. He ain't the best dentist in the world. He ain't going to the Dental Hall of Fame. We don't get plaques for getting rid of plaque. He's just a yank your tooth out dentist. See, the black man got to fly to get something the white man can walk to.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you read it. That's good.
So you mentioned the Red Hot albums. I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
And when I heard it, my context clues made me think of those Now CDs. Remember those Now CDs? Maybe that was post your time.
Yeah. I don't think I remember Now CDs. They're compilations?
Yeah, and they would come out, I mean, by the time I graduated, it was on like Now 30 or something. They would come out very often, and they were compilations. And at first I loved them, and then
you got tired of them.
Then they got cliche,
Sure.
So I wondered if this was a sort of like that. And it kind of was,
It kind of is, but I think there was generally first of all, I think a lot of the music that was compiled was original to that CD. And then that there would be like a theme, whether they were going to do Cole Porter, or whatever. They would all redo some famous jazz musician stuff and put their twist on or something. There seemed to be new content, and it was theme oriented. I feel
Got it. Yeah. Well, and it was also not for profit. and it was
Oh,
dedicated
right.
to fighting AIDS through pop culture.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He talks about Steve Harvey getting in trouble.
Okay.
And I don't know. And for people who don't know what happened, he went to visit Trump after he was sworn in. And it was like this whole thing of helping like make the transition easier. We're bringing people in anyway. And he got a lot of pushback for that. Okay, here we go. We're about to enter the Sam Harris portion of the fact check. This is also dicey for us because we love Sam Harris so much, and we still do.
We still love him.
But this is Talib's account
Mm-hmm.
and his opinion based on all of the facts he's gathered.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want people to know that.
They're also public adversaries. So they have a historical public feud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's in the recipe.
Yeah. So he mentions it a lot that Sam has an article called In Defense of Profiling.
Mm-hmm.
And he does. It is on his website. You can
Okay.
find it. As soon as you Google it, it will pop up. In his defense, I'm not a fan of the article.
Okay. You read it and you don't dig it.
No.
Yeah.
But in his defense, he says he should be profiled.
Okay.
They need to be looking more and doing a less PC job of picking who is going to be
Screened.
patted down in the airports.
Okay.
So
Do we think they are doing a PC job? I can't imagine
he
they are.
thinks that he saw like an old couple getting patted down or something, and then a kid, the TSA worker was like, she has to take her shoes off, the kid, which of course is annoying. All of it's annoying.
Sure.
I recognize that, but he was saying like that shouldn't be happening, and every single person who looks Muslim should be.
That was his point of view.
Yes.
Mm.
It's worth reading.
Mm.
Anyway, but he did say more than so many other people, he should also be profiled. And really then in my opinion, it's just like, okay, well then all that proves is just it has to be everyone, because you may not know.
Mm-hmm. But then I just got to throw it out there. We circle back to, I think it's Jefferson who said, Thomas Jefferson said, those who would surrender safety at the expense of liberty deserve neither liberty nor safety.
But it doesn't have to be. Everyone can go through that process.
Yeah, that's a surrendering of liberty. So I'm saying,
Why?
well, you can have perfect safety if all of us are monitored at all times and we're constantly searched and you bug our
I see
house.
what you're
So to give up your liberty in a trade for safety, he says you deserve neither.
But you
if you're willing to
can't
do that.
ask for the taking away of somebody else's liberty for your safety, which is what he's asking.
Sure. I know. I was just pointing out. You always got to kind of be checking in and evaluating. How much of a police state you're willing to live in, and to prevent how many deaths. And it's worth thinking about.
Definitely.
You could give up, privacy rights. You could give up all these things that would make us 100% safe. But I don't think any of us would want that.
Mm-hmm. And you're not saying what Sam is saying, just to be clear.
Oh, no. And I'll just say, throughout listening to 100 episodes of his podcast, I disagree on a ton of stuff he says.
Yeah.
And I think we both said that. I can disagree with him on a good chunk of what he says and also really value these other things I do agree with him on.
Yeah.
I don't have to agree with people lock, stock, and barrel to enjoy them. I don't agree with Bill Maher or lock, stock. I don't, these are all people I consume their stuff and I like it.
Yeah. I
This notion that someone's going to walk the perfect line according to me is a little silly.
Yeah, that's true. And I fully agree. I think it kind of all circles back to exactly what Talib is saying. You are in a position to be able to say that
Absolutely.
and to say, I can kind of pick and choose what I like about a person, what I don't.
It's not going to affect me.
Yeah.
That's the bold truth.
But if I read that article and see that what he is saying is that I should be patted down every time I walk through.
You definitely look like a jihadist. When I look at you, I
it doesn't matter.
ISIS. When I look at you, I would think ISIS. No, but
that
this
is what
in
he's
particular,
saying.
yes, this in particular is a bullseye problem for you.
What do you mean?
Because people regularly mistake Indian people for
Exactly.
for Muslims. So yeah, I'm acknowledging that this is of course, a very powerful thing for you as it. How could it not be?
Yeah.
You're the person that he's talking about. He's suggesting that should be screened.
Yeah. I'm someone who's going to be misrepresented. And he's saying it's okay. It's okay for me to have to endure that.
Right. What's funny is that Sam's not including his Muslim countrymen into his liberty, right? So he's thinking of probably he would say we can't lose our liberty at the just to achieve safety, and he's probably not extending this sense of liberty to Islamic Americans.
But also the percentage of people who walk into a gun store in this country who end up killing somebody
Are white
people.
Absolutely. And so he would then, his defense would be, you need to put white males coming into a school off hours through a metal detector because that's who's going to be doing it. You don't need to put the black guy through the metal detector because black dudes don't shoot up schools.
Or white kids. A lot of these are white kids doing it.
Yeah.
So would he want his white kids to have to go through a special screening process every day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. So Talib was mispronouncing. He kept calling him Majid. And his name is Majid.
Majid
Nawaz.
Yeah. Which, again, is not to take anything away from Talib's incredible name recall.
I know, it was incredible. And not even to take away from what he said. I just wanted that.
That is how you say it.
If Sam heard it, he'd be probably upset that was not pronounced right. And I would too if I were him. And then he also said that Sam invented the term regressive left. I could not substantiate that. I do know he uses it, and him and a bunch of other people. And I think maybe they were early to say it, but I have not heard. I did not see that he invented it or was the first person to say it. Or Sam is 51.
Oh, he is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
8 years my senior.
Yeah.
So I could end up as smart as him. I have 8 years to get as smart as him.
I think
I can do it?
I think you're smart enough. Okay. You said Judaism is the oldest religion and that it's 5,000 years old.
Of the main three.
So, yeah, you didn't say that. And I don't know that we should say main three.
No, the three main religions on planet Earth are the two Judeo-Christian and Islam. Those are, numbers-wise, far and away the most popular religions.
I don't know if that's true.
Okay.
I can look it up. Hinduism is the oldest religion.
Yeah.
And
well, let's just be honest. We don't know what the oldest religion is because man's always had religion. All cultures have a religion. They have a origin theory.
Organized, I would say.
Yeah.
Organized religions that are still in practice.
Okay, yeah.
So there's not like a real start date for Judaism. There's a lot of it's sort of amorphous as to when, but it said that it was founded around the 9th to 5th century BCE, and it is the oldest monotheistic religion. You are right. Christianity was created in the 1st century, and Islam was founded in the 7th century.
The reason I said 5,000 years old is that I do believe that they were practicing Judaism for a couple thousand years before they could write down the Old Testament. I think that the actual Genesis and all that stuff was an oral tradition that then got written down in 1000 BC or 9th century BC.
On the research I found, most of it's citing about 3,500 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So you said 50% of rabbis are atheists.
God, I hope that you could find something to
That's
back that
not
up.
true.
It's not true.
No.
In Israel, I said. Because that's what I heard on an NPR thing, I think is where I heard that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. I spoke to some people, one being the most informed Jewish person I know, and she's incredibly knowledgeable. She works at the JCC, and she said she's never heard that.
Okay.
And it would definitely not be 50%. And she did say that, rabbis often, maybe faith or God isn't their main focus.
Mm-hmm.
And they're more, a lot of them can be more focused on social justice or just general goodness, and all of these things is more of their focus. But she said there's also there would be no way to really find that statistic, because they would not be able to say very openly, there is no God, and be a rabbi.
Okay.
So we definitely can't say 50% of rabbis are atheists. And that was just a point you made. So I just want to be very clear about that.
Okay.
You also said they're the least literal interpreters of the text.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when I was talking to her, she said, and it was a few people actually, that's also not really true. There's all these different levels of Judaism, right? Reformed, traditional, Orthodox. So it just depends. You've probably been exposed to many Reformed Jewish people, as have I.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, many Reformed Jews do take it a little bit less literally.
Let me be more specific. I've never observed a Christian baptizing their child and then also saying, by the way, we don't believe in God, but we're going to baptize. We're going to go through this custom and this tradition and ritual, but we don't believe in God. I've never witnessed that. I've never witnessed a Christian performing one outside of Christmas.
Yeah.
People do celebrate Christmas who don't believe in God.
Yeah.
But I have, numerous Jewish friends who don't believe in God and do all the traditions.
Yes,
So
because
that could be my own anecdotal observation. Yeah.
That's because Judaism has such a strong cultural component to it that the other religions don't have as much.
Right.
So that is common. You're right. There's a lot of people who follow Jewish traditions and follow that culture, but don't believe in God. But I don't think we can make the equivalency to Christianity, because again, like, they don't have the cultural elements to it that you could follow and sort of be a part of. Again, besides Christmas, which if that's our only indicator, people are doing that.
Mm-hmm. I celebrate the hell out of Christmas.
Me too. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It is the best.
By the way, I don't think you are going to find much data on this theory of mine about, percentage of metaphorical interpretation versus percentage of literal, because I've not taken this theory from anyone. This is just something I've thought of on my own. Yeah. I would love for someone to actually, come up with a concrete way to study it and get some data behind it.
Yes.
But that feels right still. I still stand by this observation. I do think that's true.
That's just people though.
Sure.
It's just a matter of the type of worship you do. If you're an Orthodox Jew, those things are literal.
Oh, yeah.
So you're just not exposed to that.
I'm not. You're right.
Talib said George Bush said, God told me I need to get rid of Saddam Hussein. But he said, very similarly, he said, God told me to end the tyranny in Iraq.
Oh, boy.
The Fareed Zakaria episode of Sam Harris is episode 83, called The Politics of Emergency. It's very good. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I love that episode.
The Martin Luther King quote is, first, I must confess that over the last few years, I've been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in the stride toward freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to, quote, order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I can't agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically feels he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by the myth of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait until a, quote, more convenient season.
That's the one I'm super guilty of.
Mm.
Like, I found myself being guilty of that, where I want to focus on the progress that's been made. Like, when I hear complaints, which are well-deserved, my instinct is to go, oh, yeah, but look, I'm just a glass half full person. So I'll go, well, yeah, but look how much has changed and look how much better it is.
Yeah.
And so, but it's a weird instinct. I'm just trying, I don't know what it is, but suffice to say, that describes me quite often.
Yeah. You said Sam has a proclivity and a perversion for the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not say it's it's for the truth. I think it's for logic. That's what I have gleaned after listening to so many episodes of his, that he puts facts and logic, as you do, I think often, as the most important element in a conversation, in the way we view things. It should be, it's paramount. And I think that often comes at a cost of looking at a whole picture. Ironically, I think it's actually illogical to look at the world by facts only and not by context and emotional elements and all of those things, because the reality of the world is all of those things are factors.
Yeah, especially for us humans.
Yeah. And so if you take them out, you're still only getting a portion of the whole picture.
The physical world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And the reason I call it a proclivity or a perversion is that I suffer from it myself. And it comes at a great cost sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're not making yourself happier, and you're not making your world better or more loving. And that's not smart.
One more thing that I just want to end on. I am
quitting the show.
This is my last fact check. No, I am a little bummed. I was thinking about it after the fact, and especially when I was going back and listening. I am upset with myself that I didn't have a louder voice in especially the elements of the conversation about Me Too and female, all of that stuff. That applies way more to me than it applies to two men sitting in a room.
For sure.
I have no problem generally expressing my opinion, but I think that is sort of a weird microcosm for the whole issue in general.
100%. That was I think you're dead right. I think it's a total microcosm of the whole thing, and why this issue even exists is because men feel like they have this right to constantly dominate or assert themselves and insert themselves anywhere.
Yes.
I certainly do.
Yeah.
And women don't seem to have that, feel like they have that right, or maybe
I think it's more,
I think there's biological components and cultural components.
Yeah, but I don't think, yes, I think generally it's nature and nurture that's contributing to this problem, but I am assertive. So it's not like by nature I'm not, and I'm trying to force myself to be that or something. And I'm very comfortable with you, so it's not, and Talib was incredibly wonderful, and I wasn't like, afraid of him, but there is something, or intimidated by him. I was, because he was so smart, but there is something about feeling like you have, like, if you're a woman in a room with men, everything you say has to be extra good or extra profound.
Like the Chris Rock joke. Well, you got to be the best R&B singer in the world to live in the neighborhood with the average white dentist.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you're right. Yeah. And you have to sort of claw your way into the conversation and make yourself known, whereas no one else in that room is doing that. Everyone feels entitled.
Great. And so you bringing that up, you've kind of wanted to bring this up, point out what you've observed now doing 30 whatever fact checks and all this stuff. The different episodes. Yeah, the difference between male and female guests when they come in.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of gender discrepancies. One being, I edit the show and really I just take out people's ums and things like that.
Or if they go home and they go, I really wish I hadn't called so-and-so an asshole.
Exactly. Then we take that out. When I edit episodes with female guests, I've noticed that women often say things very clearly. They get their point across very clearly and are often very eloquent and have wonderful things to say. And then immediately it's followed with a backtrack. It's immediately like, yeah, but I don't really know. Maybe. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
They mitigate what they just said.
It's a self-deprecation.
That too was in the Malcolm Gladwell book about the culture in a cockpit in an airplane, that different countries that have these power structure dynamics where they're very afraid of power, and they don't make great co-pilots because a co-pilot is supposed to go like, hey, dude, there's ice on the wing, stop. And if they are in a culture that's really hierarchical, they'll go like, huh, looks like a lot of ice on the wing. They have all these transcripts, and it leads to accidents.
Oh, wow.
And there's airlines had to adopt a policy would change the dynamic between the pilot and the co-pilot when they were at their destination. They like the co-pilot used to draw a bath for the pilot, like all these crazy things. They had to change that way that the co-pilot would feel empowered to say stop.
Yeah,
there's a problem.
Yeah,
anyways,
to have some sense of authority there.
And I think women in general have occupied this lower power status in our country for so long that it parallels that a lot.
It does, yeah. It feels like a struggle to have to say something definitively, even though they're speaking very clearly, and then it immediately is like, but did I make any sense? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a check on yourself that none, I think I will literally say none of the men that have come in here have done it.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the women have. Not all. There's been some exceptions. Katie Couric being one, who is used to not having to do that. She
proved she was extra greatest interviewer of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It required her all that
clout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've noticed that. And then also I've noticed, I'm a little hesitant to say it because I don't want people to think I don't want them to think a lot of things. But I've noticed that the men I'll say this. I've noticed that the women are very engaging with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be due to a lot of reasons. I'm probably safe. I'm another girl there. We can talk, we can talk a little bit. Yeah, exactly. We can talk a little bit more female friendly.
Mm-hmm.
We connect on that level immediately. So there's that element of it. But
also, they probably know what it's like to be excluded.
Yes, I think that's more what it is. There's like this innate camaraderie that happens when it's a female who knows what the position is of me.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think the women, and this might be biological, more nurturing of the environment and looking and saying, there's a person here. I'm going to include that person.
Mm-hmm.
I want that person to be a part of this. What does this person think who's sitting right next to me? Women are probably a little bit less exclusionary than men. Maybe. I mean, that might not be true. I don't know. But that's what it feels like to me. And then when the men come in, everyone has been so kind and wonderful and lovely. But they don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Some have. I don't want to. Some have. And even when they do, it's different. It's an acknowledgement. It's a looking at me.
That's what you pointed out to me when you made this observation, is that you end up cutting out a lot of your uh-hs because they seem like they're coming out of nowhere, because what the listener can't see is that the male guest is looking at you
for a response.
Or some kind of approval, or
it's exactly. So they're not looking at me for a response. They're not looking at me to actually speak and be involved.
Yeah.
They're looking at me to say, to boost them a little bit and say like, yeah. And I think it's all subconscious, by the way. I don't think there's a lot of them talking to you, looking at me, talking to you, kind of looking at me after they say something. And the women generally have been like, Monica, what do you think? It's just different.
Yeah.
The problem is, I don't really know what to do with that knowledge.
Right. And this was the thing I pointed out to you that I think is relevant, because I've been on a lot of people's shows, and I know personally that I have engaged with the co-host a lot more when the interviewer is a woman. So like when I've gone to do Anna's show, I'll check in with Sim a lot. And when I go to Chris Hardwick's show, I won't check in with his co-host. And that's because, from my own point of view, which I think speaks to a lot of males' point of view, when two men sit across from each other and they start talking, it is primitive in that it's an alpha contest. There's testosterone, there's a dominance thing, like there's these male things that when a male sits across from me, it's this weird, even when it's going lovingly and wonderful, there is a male on male competition that you kind of block everything else out. But when I sit down with Anna Faris, I don't feel competitive with her. I just, that it's not engaged in me. So now I'm less on the attack. I'm less aggressive and all these things. And that now opens me up to everyone else in the room. So I do think a lot of the guys sit down and they're like, oh, here comes a male on male interaction. And it's just kind of ape-like.
Yeah. I think it depends on the person and how much security they have.
When I'm with Chris, I'm like, keep up, man, keep up. You can't fucking, you can't fail in this situation. Like, it's like playing one-on-one basketball all of a
I
sudden.
know, but it's like, but I guess what's sort of inherently bothersome about that is you should be feeling that way about Anna. Like you shouldn't.
I shouldn't feel that way about anybody. I think the thing to aspire to is to not feel competitive with anyone.
Not even competitive. Like, yes, you're right. You're right. You shouldn't walk into a room and feel like there's a threat to your intellectual safety in having a conversation with someone. But still, if you're gonna feel that way, you should feel it about any person that's sitting across from you.
But I think 90% of my brain is still evolved a million years ago, when if you came up upon another strange animal that looked like you and that strange animal was your size, you acted appropriately to survive. And if you came up on an animal that was half your size, because our sexual dimorphism is such as that you're literally half my size, you're not a threat to 90% of my brain, the reptilian brain. You just don't trigger that sense of threat or dominant submission, all these things. And I just think that's just going to be always going to be a biological component. And I thought it was really well articulated when someone was pointing out what it's like to be a woman. And imagine stepping into an elevator when you're a woman, and every man that walks into this box with you and the door's shut, you're standing next to an animal that's twice your size, and if he chose, could overpower you, and what it's like to go through life in those situations. And I thought, oh my God, that's a great insight for me to think about, because I don't get in an elevator and think, oh, the dude next to me can overpower me at any moment he'd like to.
Yeah.
And that's just jungle shit that we'll never escape.
Well, we have to try.
Oh, yeah.
Point.
Mhm.
Is
That's what I'm saying. I
we
aspire.
can't say we'll never escape it, because that's like saying, well, this is the way it is, and that's it.
No. I don't mean that. I mean, let's first acknowledge why it's happening so that we can quiet that part of our brain, because we understand it and we understand what's going on in this situation. So what I'm saying is I do aspire to sit down with all humans like I would sit down with Anna and not feel threatened, because we don't live in the jungle anymore.
You're right, but it's strange to me that that's what's happening, because the confrontation is verbal in any of these conversations. So it's not like we're standing up in a wrestling ring or something, and of course you're not going to be threatened by a woman there, most likely. Like, that to me makes total sense. But this is a vying of brains, and it's a little strange that the automatic is that a man is requiring me to be a little bit more on step than a woman is.
But let's go deeper. So in anthro, when we look at hunting and gathering societies, there isn't the power structure goes alpha male, beta male, right? It doesn't, men are never competing with women for their place in the hierarchy. There's a female hierarchy and then there's a male hierarchy. So every time a male's interacting with a male, he's trying to figure out his position in this situation.
Yeah.
And I do think that happens with women as well. I think when two women get together or three women, you subconsciously start being aware of, like, what's everyone's dynamic? Who's the leader of this group? But I don't think that crosses genders too much, even though it would make sense for it to now, because we now have a workplace.
Exactly.
And
we're
specialized.
evolved.
We are evolved. And you actually are competing with women in the workplace.
Yeah.
There is a structure that is now blended, but just none of our evolution prepared us for that. This is like a brand new thing on the blip of, where this is a blip on the overall timeline of mammals on planet Earth.
Yeah, it is. But we are evolved humans at this point in time. So I think it's a little bit of a cop-out to blame our primate level of thinking in our current system.
But again, understanding the reason isn't an excuse. So it's not. I'm not saying that it's right that it's happening or it should continue to happen. I'm just I'm interested in why it's happening.
You're interested in why it's happening. Women are interested in fixing it. That's just really what it boils down to.
Okay.
You can be interested in why, and I am too from an academic standpoint. But then what has to be part of the conversation is, this is why, so what do we do now? And sometimes I think what do we do now gets left out of the conversation.
Sure. But let's pretend that we design utopia and that one of your classes in high school is a whole semester where you go, which I would love, like, understand all this vestigial evolution you have so that you can police it.
Yeah.
I think you first have to be able to recognize what's really happening because we're just interpreting it as
Definitely.
real emotions.
Yeah.
They feel very real and grounded and reasonable. And then when we kind of break down what's actually being triggered, it gets preposterous. And then we can kind of right size it and then sweep it away.
Yeah.
You know, I hope.
I hope too.
I feel bad for us that we have all that wiring.
Yeah. That's it, really.
All right.
Just an observation.
I like your observations.
Thanks.
Keep them coming.
Okay, I will. That's all.
Good night.
Good night.